It's the Arcade Repair Tips Live Show, the show that repair, restoration, news, and broadcasting from their world headquarters in Texas. It's the Arcade Repair Tips Live Show, the show that discusses arcade repair, restoration, news, and more. Now, here are your hosts, Tim and Jonathan.
Okay, can everybody hear us? Are we there? Sorry about that. Hello, guys, and welcome to episode 33 of the Arcade Repair Tips Live Show for November 2019. My name is Jonathan Leung, the producer, director, and editor of the Arcade Repair Tips video series. And joining me today, as always, is Mr. Arcade Repair Tips himself, Tim Peterson. Tim, how you doing?
I'm doing good, John. Just freezing out here in Texas.
Yeah, so we've had a 20-degree drop in temperature over the last, 12 hours.
Yeah, the temperature looked like it saw a highway trooper and hit the brakes.
So it's getting cold. But not only that, Tim, it is going to continue to drop, and tomorrow night is going to be really cold for all of those high school football fans.
Oh, wow.
So you guys, if you're in our area, it's cold right now. But, cold is relative, Tim, because, I talk to people in Colorado as part of my actual full-time job, and it's snowing there.
They've had snow. So.
Exactly. So, as far as it is here, it is cold for Texas, but where you are, it may be colder. So, Tim, what is cold for us? Like 32? 28, something like that.
40.
Right, exactly. I go up to,
40.
Pennsylvania, Tim. We're talking about, -4
right.
sometimes.
Well, when it was 68 yesterday.
Right, that is true.
That's the difference,
Exactly. So, big temperature changes around here. But hopefully, wherever you are, the weather is nice and pleasant, or you're inside enjoying it and watching the live show with us. And thank you for joining us tonight. Now, we do want to remind people that you can interact with the show via the live chat, Tim, and we already have a couple of live chat messages in here. Let's see what we have here. Jason Steverson says, "Hey guys, go LSU." So there you go. Aren't they playing Alabama this week?
Yeah, I think there's some kind of game. Okay. I don't know.
Okay.
There's something going on Saturday.
I was about to say, you're an OU fan. But I think all the college football fans know that there's a big game this weekend. Right. So Edward says, "Hello guys, I'm back. I'm doing better since my open heart surgery. Had to go back in for another surgery, but I'm doing better." So awesome. Edward, we always like to hear that people are doing well and that they're making quick recoveries from surgeries especially. So let's see. Jason says, "Well, Ed, praying for you, speedy recovery." That's nice. Let's see. Greg says, "Glad you're doing better." You see, guys, this is a community here, right? Right. So we're all here. Obviously, Tim, we're all bound by our love of arcade games, but we also are a brotherhood unto ourselves, right?
Right.
So let's see what else we have here. Seahorses at Night says, "You guys rule like Hulk." There you go. Thank you for that. Greg says it's 76 there.
Wow.
So there you go. Much warmer than it was here yesterday, which is surprising. And then Justice says, "Well, I'm finally catching the live show. Been listening to the podcast for years." Thank you, Justice, for being here. And we always love to have people here for the live show because that is the fun part of it, Tim, is interacting with you guys during the show. So,
that it is.
But Tim, before we get into any of the arcade-related stuff, I do want to talk about two things in particular. One of the things is that we did release a new video that was kind of totally unrelated to arcade games.
Right.
But this was Tim's thing, and so this video, Tim showed me when it happened.
Right.
And
several years ago.
I think 2014 is what the video says on it. 2014, so 5 years ago now.
Wow.
So, but basically, we called it Tim's Spooky Encounter.
Okay.
And do you want to summarize it for people who haven't seen it, Tim?
Yeah, if you haven't seen the video, basically, I was just at work having a normal day, and I felt an eerie sensation, or almost like something had just come, like that chill you get down your spine. And I didn't think much about it, and but I just kind of couldn't get away from it, so I went and looked at the security camera and rolled back the tape, and the video is a video of me shooting a video of the video. Does that make sense? So I'm videoing what I saw, and it was a little eerie to me, and I thought maybe, it could be a ghost, could be something else. I remember showing it to my employer, and they're like, "Oh, it's just dust on the lens on the camera." And I'm like, "Okay, it didn't really seem like it." And they're like, I said, "You sure?" And they're like, "No, we're really not sure, but they didn't really want to have much to do with it. They wouldn't let me post it. So, but since I'm no longer working for them, and it is my video, we decided to post it. And we kind of did around Halloween just to have some fun with it.
Sure. Now, Tim, there's been a lot of feedback on your video.
Okay.
And I will say the consensus is that it was a bug or an insect that was too close to the lens. But to me, the fact that you felt something, you didn't just pick the video to pick the video.
I didn't just go, hey, I wonder what I look like on camera. The only reason why I even looked at it was because I had this eerie feeling and just kind of got creeped out a little bit.
So, and that's when you rolled back the video and you saw what you saw. So, I don't know. It could have been a bug or insect too close to the camera. That is a plausible, I think, something plausible if we're talking Mythbusters style here. But it may have been something else. I don't know. You can watch the video if you haven't already and chime in for yourself and let us know what you think. It is on our YouTube channel, so you can go watch it real quick and see.
Right.
Let's see.
You can Google search Tim Spooky Encounter.
There you go. Exactly. Seahorses and Night says it was a video of Billy Mitchell cheating at video games. So so that could have been it as well.
Yeah, it kind of slithered out, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. You know how it is. So, but Tim, that was one thing that we kind of released right near Halloween. So what was that? Only a week ago now.
Right.
So did you have a good Halloween then? Going into that.
Well, I worked and everybody told me, and Michael, if you're in the chat, you lied. But no, everybody told me, Michael, who used to work for Mr. Gaddy's, he fills me in on a lot of stuff. He's probably in here. But a lot of people told me, be prepared. Halloween is one of the slowest nights of the year. Don't schedule many people because everybody's out trick-or-treat. Sure. You're not eating and playing games.
You still got to eat.
Total opposite.
Really?
We were busy. Like, even busier. If I'd have had a full crew there, we would have been busy. We were way busier than I thought we would be. Lots of people, like you said, had to eat. And since Mr. Gaddy's is a buffet and it's fast, they could come eat real quick and then go trick-or-treating. Or we had some people go trick-or-treating, then come in and eat. And then we had a lot of people just come in probably because they didn't want trick-or-treaters at their house.
Right.
So they just kind of came in and hung out. I don't know what happened. Next year I'll be prepared. We were really busy.
Were you understaffed?
Yeah, we were understaffed, which made it even worse because we thought it's going to be dead. There's not going to be much going on. I mean, we had like 4 people on the clock, and it was the right 4 people, the kind of people that could do 2 or 3 jobs and really hustle. I was sweating when I got through, and we handled everything just fine, and I think everybody had a good time, and kids played games, had fun. But next year, I think that we may actually... You know, because they were even telling me, don't do much of a promotion. Just know that's going to be one of your slowest days. Don't fight it. Don't worry about it. Man, total opposite. I thought next year we should probably really, if we're going to have people there, we might as well have a costume contest or something fun out of it.
Absolutely.
So maybe, but this was our first Halloween. We're just now fixing to hit our 1-year mark. So won't be long. I remember last Christmas, or I remember we actually opened right after Thanksgiving on December 3rd. So almost a year.
Wow, it's hard to believe.
It has definitely been a year since I made the announcement that I was leaving Chuck E. Cheese and going to Gaddy's.
Right, exactly. So, very interesting. Almost a year. So, by the next time we have our live show, it will be a year. So, there you go. But that's exciting, Tim.
Yeah.
Now, I got my coupons the other day for
you
guys,
got some
so I'm
in the
going to have
mail.
to come up there. I've been telling myself I need to go up there. And it's not far from my house, I should say that. But we get so busy with things, you know how it is.
You got the $3.99 buffet coupon.
I did get the $3.99
Platinum upgrade.
Party pack.
$80 off.
Yeah. So it had some good stuff on it. So definitely going to have to do that. Now, Tim, usually, speaking of Mr. Gaddy's, I would probably save this for the after show, but I thought we'd throw it here at the front just to have some fun and to let people hear. Here's the deal. You got to be on terrestrial radio.
Yes.
It's what I call actual radio.
Right.
We've done
a
podcast.
Station.
Right. We've done podcasts for years, but you have 3 commercials running right now on local radio stations. 2 local radio stations.
Yes.
Right. 92.1, which is our sports station, and I think what's the talk
the
station
talk
too?
News radio.
97 something.
97.5.
97.5. So we've got some actual audio radio commercials that are playing right now, and you actually sent them over to me.
Okay.
And so what we're going to do now is we're going to play them.
Oh, boy.
Okay. We're going to let people listen and see what they think. So now there are 3 different spots, and it sounds like they got a professional voiceover woman to do most of it, but you're in there as well on each of them, kind of talking about specific things about Mr. Gaddy's, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this first spot here is 12 Big Screens.
Okay.
Is what it's called, so I'll play that one first.
Love pizza? Love sports? Mr. Gaddy's $7.99 buffet comes with 12 big screen TVs and all the big games.
There's 12 TVs all around, so whatever team you're following, we'll make sure that we turn it on there for you in your area that you sit in.
Tim Peterson is the general manager at Mr. Gaddy's in Tyler.
You don't have to miss the game just because you want to go out and eat with your family. The kids can go play. We also have beer and wine.
Mr. Gaddy's has so much more than pizza.
There's a full pasta station where we have spaghetti, macaroni and cheese. We have home-style green beans, corn. We do offer an all-you-can-eat salad, which is a little cheaper than our buffet price. And then we have a dessert bar.
Enjoy hot, fresh pizza, pasta, salad, or dessert while you watch your favorite team on one of 12 big screens. It's only at Mr. Gaddy's Pizza in Tyler's French Quarter Shopping Center on South Broadway. See them online at Gaddy'sPizza.com. Gaddy'sPizza.com.
So there's the first one.
Yeah, I didn't even meet her.
I doubt that the radio people even met her. I mean,
I don't know who
except
that is.
via email. But I thought it came off good. So that one you're kind of talking about how you guys have some screens and that you don't have to miss the game. You come eat there and everything like that. And so it works out pretty well.
Well, it's there's specific things we're targeting. One is a lot of people don't like to go to Chuck E. Cheese anyway, but they certainly don't like to go when the game is on because the game's not on.
Right.
So the dads miss the game and they have to be stuck there at the noisy kids' place. This way, where they come with us, we put as many different games on as we can. Or if we got a lot of, say, LSU, Alabama will be a huge game. We'll probably play that on almost all of them Saturday, so that'll be fun.
Exactly. Okay, so I'm going to play the next spot here. This one it says plenty of time. Spot. Okay, so here's this one.
Short on time for lunch? You have plenty of time at Mr. Gaddy's.
A lot of people don't have an hour for lunch.
Tim Peterson is the general manager at Mr. Gaddy's in Tyler.
One thing, it's already ready when you get there. I think it's neat that you can walk right in and within a minute you can be eating food. The pizza's ready. We'll have it hot and fresh and lots of different kinds. We're not fast food. We're good food that's ready.
Mr. Gaddy's has so much more than pizza.
We have a full-service salad bar, which is actually double what most people have. So some people come in just because they eat salads. You go around the corner and there's a full pasta station where we have home-style green beans, corn. Then you have all your pizzas, and that's where we talk about the variety that we can offer in pizzas. And then we have a dessert bar.
On a busy workday, get lunch fast, hot, and ready to eat for just $7.99 at Mr. Gaddy's Pizza. Mr. Gaddy's is in Tyler's French Quarter Shopping Center on South Broadway. See them online at Gaddy'sPizza.com. Gaddy'sPizza.com.
So that one you're kind of targeting the lunch crowd?
Yes, because the fact that, we took the food truck to a couple places because they only had a 30-minute lunch.
Sure.
And I thought, and where they were, I was thinking, how do you get anywhere in 30 minutes?
Sure.
You know, you can't even go through McDonald's drive-thru. So if you had 30 minutes or an hour, even then it's pushing it a lot of times. So we say our food's already ready. So you don't have to go in and wait and order, and the food is there. So you can get in there and eat and get out quick. And we do have a lot of people that come in just for lunch real quick.
There you go. Already ready.
Already ready.
Already ready.
It's not fast food.
That's right. It's good food fast.
Good fast.
All right,
Good food fast.
Good food fast. Or what'd you say? Good food that's ready.
Yeah.
Good food that's ready. There we go.
Something
Okay,
like
we're going to play this last one. I promise, guys. They're only a minute each, even though they seem a little longer than that, right?
Especially when you're just sitting there.
Exactly. So this one is Two Can Dine, Tim.
Right.
So we're going to play this one real quick.
Hungry? Too tired to cook? No problem. At Mr. Gaddy's in Tyler, 2 can dine for $9.99.
And that includes 2 buffets, all you can eat, and then all you have to do is pay for your drinks if you want to drink.
Tim Peterson is the general manager at Mr. Gaddy's in Tyler.
Kids under 3 are free. Every Wednesday, it's kids eat free with a paid adult.
Don't see what you want on Mr. Gaddy's Pizza Buffet? No problem. Just tell them what you want, and they'll make it for you.
In our rotation, we make some of the best Gaddy's pizzas, but one of our favorite things is to take requests. If we have the ingredients and you like it, we'll make it. We love to load up pizzas with what you actually like on a pizza.
For a limited time, 2 can dine for just $9.99. Hot, fresh pizza, pasta, salad, and dessert, all for one low price. But only at Mr. Gaddy's Pizza in Tyler's French Quarter Shopping Center on South Broadway. See them online at Gaddy'sPizza.com. Gaddy'sPizza.com.
So So there we go. So obviously there you're doing a promotion for Two Can Dine for basically $10.
Yeah, that one has actually been the most popular. More people ask about it, or they'll say, "Hey, I heard you on the radio," because it rhymes. That's a Two Can Dine for $9.99.
Sure.
And people seem to really like that. It's a special that we do Monday through Thursday. Although the commercial does not say that, so I've had to give some out on the weekends.
Huh?
Yeah, but on the weekends because of that. But
right.
Anyway, we've had a lot of fun. It was really different when we were talking one day, and he was talking about some new radio spots, and I was just talking to him, and he goes, "Man," he's like, "You seem like a natural at this." I'm like, "Well, we do a radio live show. We've shot a lot of videos. I'm not that new at it." And he was like, "Well, you should just come in. We'll just shoot a commercial." So we go in, and I get mic'd up, and he's telling me how it's going to go, and I thought to myself, he said, "Now let's practice and see how it goes." The whole time he's just recording me. That literally took about 3 or 4 minutes. I didn't say much more than that, and then they mixed it in just right.
Sure.
And he was like, "Okay, we're done." I'm like, "Oh, I didn't even know we'd gotten started yet."
That's right.
But I thought they did a pretty good job of making me sound better than I did.
Yeah, I don't mix you that well. Sorry.
No. you get the we do more errors and stuff.
That's
we just
right.
roll with the punches. When you're doing it live, it's
Exactly.
a lot different story. So that was quite an experience, and it was a little fun.
Well, there you go. Well, I just thought it was cool, so we played at the beginning of the show. Sorry if it took up some time, guys, but Tim is now on the radio. You can hear him here locally in East Texas. But I
go
think
to
it's a cool
ktvv.com.
Yeah. Oh, you can actually. There you go. KTVB.com. But anyway, so Tim is on the radio. You may hear him on there if you're in the area. So obviously promoting Mr. Gaddy's Pizza. So Justice says, "Okay, now I'm hungry." So there you go. Way to make somebody hungry.
That's what it's designed for, right?
And Headless Horseman says, "I know that guy."
Oh, okay.
There you go. Let's see. Danny says, "Nice seeing you guys again." Nice to see you too, Danny. We had a couple of temperature updates here.
Okay.
Tim. Let's see. 82 in St. Petersburg.
Wow.
And that's Florida, of course.
Of course.
And then we have 35 in Detroit.
Okay.
So there you go. So we got the whole gamut of temperatures here tonight for the live show. But Tim, I think we've covered enough of the pre-live show stuff. Let's go ahead and move into some questions, guys. And sorry for it taking so long tonight. Now, Tim, this first one's kind of a follow-up, and so I really didn't prepare like a after slide or anything, but I just thought you'd give some of your input on this. And this was from Greg. And I'm going to throw this up here real quick. Greg says, "I'm still looking at using the laminate that you suggested." Now, if you remember, Tim, Greg had asked some questions about laminate and vinyl. Right, exactly, from the last live show. He says, "I currently put full vinyl graphic side art over the MDF directly after a good sand and not cut out stickers over laminate. I'm wondering if the better option is to use the black laminate as suggested and cut out vinyl stickers when I can, or to do a full-scale sticker over the whole laminate, as some arcades aren't always black on sides as a base. This option would be more expensive, though, and timely." I think time-consuming is probably meant there, Tim. "There are some issues with full-scale vinyls over wood directly, even when you sand and clean well." Right. Now, Tim, before we move on to the second part of Greg's follow-up here, what do you think about what he's doing now with the vinyl over the MDF, and maybe instead of doing that, going with a laminate over and then putting...
Well, the vinyl is going to show any imperfection, and that's one thing about doing the laminate. It gives you a clean surface to start with, so even if you do go vinyl over laminate, you won't get and see every crack in the wood or every nail or screw hole, stuff like that. I think he goes on to talk about that.
He does in the second part. We'll talk about that in a sec.
Because, it's just going to show up. Now, one of the reasons we did it on a Tron, and you think about it, Tron does have that black background.
Right.
And it kept us from painting it. I would think of games like Galaga and stuff, or if you're doing a 60-1, I think that would be fine. But I guess it depends on the game. If you were doing Centipede, it probably wouldn't look, you would need the full side art. That probably would be better to do it that way.
Now, something we should mention too is that you can get laminate in different colors. You don't have to do the black.
No.
Pretty much any kind of, we use countertop laminate like we've talked about before. And what's one of the most common colors of countertop laminate? White. So you could technically use white, and white may be a better base if you're going to put vinyl graphics over.
But one of the things about it, the sticker just goes over that laminate so easy. We don't hardly have any bubbles. If you watch the video, that made it so much better than wood. And it seems like to me, as much sanding, priming, paint, filling, you can just cover up. You can even have a hole in your cabinet and laminate right over that hole.
Exactly.
So that's my opinion. It's a little bit easier if you got the time to do both and you really want that pretty side art job. The laminate actually helps in that.
Okay, Tim, I'm going to go ahead and continue on with Greg here. Another question. I currently drill and countersink my screws from the outside in, which means I wood fill and then sand again. One of the problems with going right over the wood with vinyls, because I can kind of see the holes through the vinyl even though I fill them.
Right.
Can you link to a video that shows how to, and this is a separate question to this, Tim. So before we go there, I mean, obviously this is the problem with just doing the MDF, and Tim, the way he's assembling the cabinet, too, is that he's coming from the outside in on the screws. And so by doing that, he's countersinking them, which means he does have a bit of an indent right over that screw, which he tries to fill. But trying to get the consistency with that, even with sanding and then putting vinyl graphics on, you really have to have a smooth surface for those vinyl graphics to display.
They're going to show every little... any piece of dirt, anything they're going to show. So that's one reason why the laminate really helps.
There you go. So let me go with the second part of the question. Can you link to a video that shows how to bracket the inside and screw all the cross pieces from the inside? These snap-together kits use the cam locks, which I'm not doing that. Unfortunately, woodworking isn't my strong point, and I'm more joysticks, controls, encoders, and the processor stuff. Hard to be a pro at both of it. And Tim, this is obviously what he wants to try to do is instead of coming from the outside in with the screws, he wants to try to bracket on the inside. Now, Tim, we've seen a lot of cabinets where what they've done is they've cut like basically an indent like in the bottom,
right?
Where like
kind
the
of like routed
slides in, right? It's routed along the sides.
And you put it in,
right? So you could do maybe a routing in certain places, and then
I would just say
sink it in
if
like
you
that.
can do it that good, you probably don't. You probably work for a cabinet shop, or you should.
Sure.
If you're that good.
Right.
I mean, because it's tough to do.
Right.
So you could actually take it to a cabinet shop and have somebody do those cuts for you. Some of them may not charge too much. But,
now, Tim, couldn't you just do this
but
with,
you
I mean,
could
with
do
a standard...
some L brackets and some stuff.
Right, but couldn't you do it with a standard router? If you had a routing bit and just...
You
and
could.
Just run it?
The problem is still getting that wood up in there. So what you're going to do is you're going to put the sides together around the middle.
Right.
Or one side, build it, and then push the other side in. So that is a little practice, and you could probably get that down good enough. But again, you're talking pretty skilled to still be able to do that. So if you really want a professional job, you might have to leave that one to the professionals.
Now, you mentioned L brackets, obviously. That's kind of a quick solution, Tim.
Yeah.
But the problem with L brackets is that you can't use very long screws because you can basically you have to use about, a 1/4 of an inch shorter than what the thickness of your cabinet is. So if you have like a 1 inch thin cabinet, you're looking at 3/4 inch screws that you can put in, which are pretty deep still.
Right. I would still use some wood glue and some other methods too with that.
So basically, wood glue it, then screw it in to make sure that it holds together. I mean, we see this in like Miss Pat cabinets, Tim, where they put kind of like that little, almost like quarter round looking stuff. They'll put in the corners and they'll wood glue it, and then they'll staple or glue through that.
Yes, a lot of staples.
Right, so you could do something like that on the inside. That may be one way to handle it, but putting like the little square, kind of like a little square, like 1 by 1, or even half inch by half inch in the corners and along where the connections are, and putting the wood glue there with screws may help as well.
Maybe.
But it's doing it from the inside is tougher than doing it obviously from the outside in, because doing it from the outside in is easier. Even on commercial Arcade1Up cabinets, like we talked about, Tim, there are holes on the outside of these cabinets.
Right.
And so it's not something that's obviously
I wouldn't feel bad or
that big a deal.
Or you might notice it, but most people aren't going to notice that much anyway, or think anything about it.
Right, exactly. But the laminate would help a lot, I think, with that.
Yeah.
So if you were going to continue to use the outside in the screwing of your cabinet together, then if you laminate over it, you're going to get a smooth surface right off the bat.
Right.
Which will allow you to play.
And I don't know where you could buy this. I'm sure you can buy it at some hardware stores and stuff, but I know if you're familiar with games like Slam-A-Winner and stuff made by Benchmark, they screw their screws in. They all use a cap. ICE games have these caps too that they pop over. You can go and buy them from them, and they actually just look like, so your screw holes are on the outside and you have a little cap. You've seen them on games where looks like a little thing and a little plastic piece, and it pops on there, and it usually has a wedge inside because it fits right in the hole of your screw head. And those are fine too. Those look, kind of like little bullets around there.
We see that on consumer electronics too, Tim. Where it's like to cover up the holes. I'm
sure you can get get those on Amazon or somewhere. But that's another method that just kind of pretties it up a little bit without seeing those screw holes. But then you do have the dots around, but I don't think most stuff just goes together like that.
There you go. Now, so Tim, we really don't have a video as far as putting the cabinet together without coming outside in, but I mean, using L brackets, wood glue, and like we said, even little corner pieces where you're going to connect the cabinet together and screwing it on both sides with wood glue can help you out a lot with that. And that's how we see cabinets put together, Tim.
Yes.
So there you go. So hopefully that helps. And I mean, if you have any other questions there, Greg, let us know and we'll help you out with them. But Tim, I do think the laminate would make a world of difference in the smoothness of the cabinet and being able to apply the vinyl graphics.
Right.
So there we go. Okay, so I'm going to check the live chat here. Let's see. Jason says, got to get over to Gaddy soon. So there you go. Everybody's talking about Mr. Gaddy's. Let's see. You can use vertical grade laminate. It's way thinner than countertop laminate.
Okay.
So that I've heard of that before. That's another way to go. And it just depends on what your preference is. We use countertop at one point just because it was readily available.
Buy it, yeah.
Exactly. It's readily available. You go down to the store and get it. It's not as available as it used to be. So vertical laminate may be a better option for you going forward. Headless Horseman says, my friend wants to get a Simpsons or a Turtles for his daughter. I'm curious if Konami cabinets are different wiring-wise compared to other 4-player cabinets. We're thinking of getting some other type of 4 players and converting it to a Turtles or Simpsons, as both those games are more expensive. Yeah, so that's the best way to go about it, is probably to buy a cheaper 4-player game and convert it. Now, they both use JAMA, Simpsons, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with kick harnesses.
Right.
Okay, and I say kick harnesses. There's usually a kick harness for the 3rd player and a kick harness for the 4th player. And so those wiring harnesses should be available from Arcade Shop and many other arcade parts retailers, Tim. But that's going to be the cheaper way for you to go. If you buy a fully done up like Turtles in Time or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Tim, I mean, you're looking over $1,200 easy.
Wow.
And maybe more, depending. Now, here's the deal. Arcade1Up has a Turtles. You can go down to Walmart. You can buy it. It's smaller. It's shorter. And I know that may not sound like the best solution, but guess what else it is, Tim?
It's cheaper.
That's right. It is cheaper as well. And so I have seen one. You can get 4 people around it. It's very tight, but it is possible. So you can get 4 people around that. And if it's for kids, Tim, I would say that it's probably okay. I think that does come with the riser, though.
Okay.
So I believe, because it's also a $400 cabinet. Okay. So I do believe for the $400 you get the riser as well with that. So that's another option for you. And Tim, the Arcade1Up plays both Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Turtles in Time. You get both the games with it.
Nice.
But that's the cheap route to go. Of course, if you're looking at doing it the traditional commercial arcade way, Tim, then what you'd want to do is you'd want to probably buy a 4-player cabinet of some sort that was a little bit cheaper and then put the board in there that you're looking for. So let's see. Eric says, what is the name of the original ball joysticks on a Konami Contra? Wiko made a lot. I was about to say Wiko made a lot of ball joysticks in the past. I don't know if Wiko was used on those in particular, but Tim, there's a lot of companies that still make ball joysticks, including Suzo Hap, if that's what you're looking for. But Wiko was the one that most people remember, and I know that some companies make, I'll say replacement. I don't think they're as good as the original Wikos, but they make replacement joysticks that will fit, like Turtles and stuff for the ball top joysticks. Obviously, though, Suzo Hap does have ball top joysticks still, but if you're looking for different colors and things, there may be some other retailers that will offer more colors and things like that. So I'm not off the top of my head, I can't remember any of those, but I believe most of the original ball top joysticks that we see, Tim, are Wiko.
Yeah,
as far as I remember,
that's what first thought come to my mind was Wiko joysticks. WICO.
That's right. And Wiko also made generic control panel overlays that are really awesome, or really terribly bad, depending on how you look at it. Actually, the fun fact about Tim, who used to have a Centipede, you had a Wiko,
still have it,
or was it a Willis?
The Willis.
It was a Willis control panel overlay.
Yeah.
Which the Willis control panel overlay was better, in my opinion, than the original Atari for some reason. I liked it. I like it better still. So you never know. Some of these generic ones are better. John says hi from Chicago.
Hello, John.
Let's see. He says, what do you guys think of that Tron stick for the 1-Up? So, I've seen the Tron stick.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. So there's a Tron stick for the 1-Up games, and it looks like it
smaller?
works fine. I think it's the same size.
Oh.
So it's like actual size, and you can install it on your Arcade1Up cabinet. I mean, that's what it's designed for. But I don't know if it would work as a replacement for the arcade. I think the wiring is USB. So if you were wanting to do a MAME style Tron, I think it'd be perfect. But I don't know if you could wire it up to a Tron board. I'd have to take a look at it just to see. But I do believe it's USB powered, because a lot of those, Tim, a lot of the Arcade1Up parts are, because they interface with Raspberry Pi.
Does it light up?
Yeah, I think it does.
Okay.
So there you go. So I have not actually seen one, played with one, but it does look cool, and I mean, I'm sure it works just as good as any other joystick, Tim. So there you go. Okay, I think we will continue on with that. So let's move to Jeff's question here, Tim. Jeff says, help! I have a Miss Pac Man Galaga that keeps moving the letters to the bottom right at a curve down. For instance, the front bleeds toward the bottom right of the machine. This tends to move quite a bit through play. I have adjusted multiple knobs, but I want to stop just guessing. What should I be turning? The horizontal size or hold, or the vertical size or hold? Any help would be great. Now, Tim, from Jeff's description here, it kind of sounds like to me he's getting some monitor curl.
Yeah,
you kind of get that?
That's what I first thought when I read that.
Right.
It sounded like that. The only thing it says a Miss Pac Galaga.
Right.
That's a newer, if it's the reunion.
Right.
But it could be a 60 and 1 or
it
something.
It could have been that somebody took it out and either put a different monitor in that cabinet, or took the board and put it in.
If it was an original Pac Man or Galaga, that'd be my first thought, because
Sure.
it probably has a G07,
Right.
which has a sync problem and fix. Some of that, you just, what's happening is you get this fold over. I think you show a picture of it.
I have a picture of the curl, but I mean, we also, like what you're talking about, you'll get like the vertical lines, kind of like the vertical fold over that we get. It's very common, of course, cap kit issue, Tim, as we've talked about in the past.
And we have had issue. You sometimes can adjust it out, so you by all means try to, but most of the time you're going to go ahead and do a cap kit, and if it is a G07, we'll link to this. A sync fix that Bob Roberts had on his site works great. We fixed a many of one like that. But the monitor itself, you could be the B plus voltage could be off. So I would try definitely to adjust it first. Check your holds in your vertical and your horizontal both, because it's kind of like pulling against itself, I guess is the best way to say it. It's like if you pull this way and I pull that way, it'd be hard to pull straight. It would kind of skew. And that's kind of what happens a lot of times when it's kind of folding over like that.
Okay. So
your horizontal and your vertical are kind of competing with each other. A lot of times that's a problem with your capacitors, or you need the sync fix that we're going to show.
But overall, you think that adjusting it first is the first thing to always try?
I have seen many of those that just can be adjusted out just by either adjusting the horizontal or the vertical sync. Sometimes we'll do that.
There you go.
Or the hold.
There you go. So let's go ahead and throw this up here, Tim. From your description, it sounds like you're experiencing some sort of monitor curl or maybe fold over issue, like you mentioned, Tim. We found that adjusting horizontal vertical sync and or hold, and Tim, the reason why we say sync and or hold is because some people call it sync.
Right.
Some people call it hold. Some people have a hold and sync on
Right.
the monitor. So it really depends on which monitor you have as to whether or not you have a hold or sync. We really haven't seen size mess with it too much, but if you do have fold over and you adjust the size smaller, a lot of times the fold over will go away,
Right.
but you're left with a shrunken screen. So that's something to keep in mind, which usually means you need a cap kit installed. Now, again, monitor curl and fold over can also be incorrect B plus voltage. So if you know what the B plus voltage is supposed to be on the chassis, check it, make sure that you're getting that. And Tim, there are forums and things where you can find, just identify your monitor chassis, and you can find what the B plus voltage should be on yours. On a lot of monitors, it's like 110 to 130 or something like that, volts AC. So, I mean, it just depends on what you're looking for. So, I mean, but B plus voltage could, if it's incorrect, can definitely make some differences in your picture. Now, if you have an Electro Home G07, like Tim mentioned, there's a sync mod that you can do that will help with the monitor curl, and Tim, we did link to it. It's right there. You'll see the link, and you'll also see it down below in the show notes. And so if you do have a G07, and Tim, you can find that out by going to the What's My Monitor page on Bob Roberts.
Right.
He has pictures of every different chassis, and so if you have a G07, it may be worth installing the sync mod on. Because, Tim, the thing we found is that all of these Miss Pac Man Galagas that people are talking about, some of these are just really cleverly disguised multicades with 60-in-1 boards, and some of them are actually reunion PC or reunion ones. And so it's hard to know what you have without seeing an inside pic or seeing your board or seeing, all of the different stuff. Tim, I have seen some really well done Miss Pac Man Galaga style cabinets that were 60-in-1 boards in old arcade cabinets.
Right.
So I mean, it could be that, and if that's the case, then you may need to install the sync mod on your monitor. But Tim, do you have anything else here for Jeff before we move on?
No, I think that answers his question. We would like to know what kind of monitor you have. Maybe we could help you with some specifics if we knew that.
Right, exactly. So if you get back with us with your chassis or whatever, then please, please do that, and we can give you more information about your issue. But hopefully we've given you a couple things to think about that will help you fix your monitor. And Tim, like we were talking, if you're getting the vertical lines, which is something we really didn't mention in the slide, but if you're getting the vertical lines as well, some vertical fold over, it's time for a cap kit. Go ahead and install it. You'll be glad you did.
Yeah.
So there we go. Okay, Tim, I'm going to check the, I'm going to go ahead and check the, let's see, the live chat. It looks like we're caught up, Tim.
Okay.
We're all good. So with that said, we will go ahead and move on to our next question from Jake. Jake says, I recently purchased a Hydro Thunder sit-down arcade game. The tube is dim. It is becoming hard to see to play correctly. I am trying to figure out a couple of things. Is it possible to put like a computer monitor or a flat screen in place of the original tube? Can I just try finding a new tube or computer board for it? This, see picture, is what I found when I look at the back. And Tim, you probably know what that is just as well as I do. It looks like a neck board, if I had to guess. You can actually see the neck of the tube just a little bit there. But Tim, unfortunately, that doesn't tell us a whole lot about the monitor. But it does at least give us a picture of a neck board.
It's like a D9200, like a digital monitor.
Could be. I mean, especially with the D series, you see a pretty big neck board, something you don't see with analog monitors typically. So it could be more of a digital monitor. Hard to tell for sure,
right?
Based on the picture, but I think that's a really good guess, Tim. But I mean, the thing here is that he's saying his tube is dim. Now, Tim, talking about the D9200, this is a Hydro Thunder. So with that in mind, that probably means that that's about the right era for a D9200 or a digital Wells Garner monitor for that matter. But the biggest thing here that Jake's having is a dim screen. So what would you recommend for Jake's dim screen?
Well, if it is the digital monitor, there is some screens you can go to and turn up the brightness and things. Because you might not have that just on your remote board or like an old school monitor where you have a brightness knob. Sure. You might have to go into the menu and do that. So I would highly recommend that. If it is more of an older school monitor like a K7000, then there are some adjustments that can be done. If you find your flyback, you can turn up the brightness there. That might help some. But it's probably time to go ahead and do a cap kit or to rebuild it. And that's what we're always going to recommend. I know he asked, can you put a computer monitor? Yeah, you can put a computer monitor in there. You're going to have to get some kind of converter board. You could replace it with a newer chassis or something. But we're always going to recommend, especially since it doesn't look like he's done anything to it yet, be surprised how good a new fresh cap kit would really bring out the brightness back and a lot of those colors back.
Absolutely, Tim. And now one thing he did mention, though, he does ask the question, like, could he put a computer monitor in there?
It's possible.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, and
you can put a new LCD in there.
Sure.
But again, we're going to recommend that he buy an arcade style, not just buy one at Walmart or something, that he does buy. In fact, it looks great with the LCD in there.
Right. One of the few cabinets that actually, I mean, if you mount it right, it actually does look fairly good.
And they sell it's a 26-inch wide, and they sell a bezel for it. Hap does.
I've got it over here.
And everything. And so
I've got one over here.
It looks really
looks
good
really nice
in that game.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
Especially that game.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this up here, Tim. Now, this is the picture of the neck board they showed us. I just threw it up here just to show people. But yes, it is possible to install a computer monitor or flat screen in your Hydro Thunder. If you buy a computer monitor, you'll need a converter board, Tim, which we talked about before. If you buy an arcade-compatible LCD, it should be plug-and-play. And like Tim mentioned, the 26-inch is made to fit that cabinet.
Right.
And so it is expensive. We understand that, but it does fit that cabinet. It has a whole mounting kit, comes with the bezel, and it's very easy to install. We highly recommend getting that kit just because it'll make your life tons easier. Yes, you can get a new chassis or tube for it, but it's not always easy to find a new chassis or tube. And Tim, brightness issues, while they can be tube related, the vast majority of the time are usually related to the chassis, like we've talked about. So, you know, if it is a chassis issue, it's probably just best to rebuild it. Because here's the thing, Tim, it's working.
Right.
Okay, it may be dim, but it's working, which means that probably with some tweaks, maybe a little bit of like a cap kit, a little bit of work on the chassis, we can get it 100% working. So try the adjustments first, and then if those don't work, you may start veering into more cap kit, flyback, rebuild type things to see if you can get it going. And like Tim mentioned, if this is a digital monitor, a lot of the brightness adjustments are going to be on the OSD, on-screen display.
Right.
And so there's usually a little breakout board that has all the menu options on it. And you'll have to cycle through those in order to find the different settings that you're looking for. Tim, anything else for Jake before we move on?
No, I don't think so. We just got a little chatter going on.
Yeah, I'm about to move over here, but thank you, Jake, for your question. And good luck fixing that Hydro Thunder arcade. Tim, Hydro Thunder is one of my favorites. I'm looking for a stand-up Hydro Thunder. I would love to have one. I don't have enough room for a sit-down anywhere, but I'd love to have a stand-up. So at some point, I'm going to find one. I almost bought one time, and then like the day before I was supposed to go pick it up, my car broke down. I had to spend money on that instead. So ever since then, I have not had a lead on a stand-up Hydro Thunder. But one of these days, I'm going to get one. So there we go. So Jake, hopefully answers your question. Good luck getting that Hydro Thunder monitor bright and shiny once again. Is shiny okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, here we go. YouTube Punk says, YouTube didn't notify me about the show. Oh. What? We're getting stifled.
Yes.
You see this? It's a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy. A conspiracy, Tim. You know what I'm saying? Yep. But anyway, so sorry about that, YouTube Punk. We don't really control YouTube, unfortunately. Right. And we're a small fish in a very big pond. So unfortunately, we have no control over that. I wish we did. But sorry, you're here now. That's all that matters. Let's see. Jack64 says, greetings from Puerto Rico. Longtime fan who finally took the leap. Bought a lot of 30 cabs.
Wow.
Bought a lot of 30 cabs, most of which need fixing, and 50 boards, 60 Neo Geo cards. Tim, this sounds like it came from overseas or something. Yeah. That's a pretty large lot there. Deal was dirt cheap. I'm still beginner on troubleshooting, but hopefully one day I will have them all working well, and we hope the same for you.
Right.
We hope that one day you have them all working well. Exactly. So when you get one working, post it. Let us know that you got it working, and we'll ring the bell or do something. What a reference.
We haven't rang the bell in a long time.
We haven't rung the bell in a long time. I know. So there you go. Tim, I probably have that somewhere. I'll look for it. That's right. Ring the bell. Danny says, I'm getting ready to build a 4-player pedestal arcade cabinet. What would be the best height for it, if any suggestions? So a 4-player pedestal. So the ones that we have, Tim, they sit about at the 3-foot mark.
Yeah.
I want to say
for
the height.
If you're building it from scratch, however tall, whatever you're comfortable with, and you may just kind of play around with that a little bit to maybe take a stool or set at the counter at the house or something and see what. But you know, if it's your game, you can probably custom do it. I would say about 3 foot is pretty standard.
I was about to say, so if you look at, I'm just looking around the game room here.
Tape measure
hang on. Sorry, I had a little blurriness there. But just looking around the game room, most of the arcade cabinets that I have are 6 feet tall, and the control panels are almost right at the halfway point.
Yeah.
I mean, and so it's the vast majority of them are almost all at the same height. And so you do have some that are a little higher, kind of like the police trainer here's a little bit higher. But most of them are almost like right at that 3 foot, maybe a little bit higher, maybe a little bit of like a 6-inch up or down on that, depending on the game. But I
mean, I like the question. It's just, you know, and we're not trying to be, but I guess, you know, you look at Donkey Kong is a lot smaller. It's always been a little lower.
When you look at Williams games, though, Tim, they're a little bit higher. And classic games tend to be a little bit higher, I've noticed. Yeah. So I don't know if that's just because, you know, like the way, you know, they just thought that was a good height or whatever the case may be.
Looking around here.
Yeah, so some of the Williams games are a little bit higher, but for the most part, I think 3 foot is kind of like the normal spot for them. Like if I walk up to a game, I'm about 6 feet, it hits me right in the belt.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's pretty close, I'd say. So 3 foot mark, somewhere around there. But like Tim mentioned, I mean, just build it to your comfort height.
Yeah.
I mean, so, you may build it a little higher if you're comfortable doing that, and everybody else can use a step stool, too.
Right.
So
right.
that'll be fine.
That's how tall he is.
Exactly. So hopefully it answers your question, Danny, and good luck building that pedestal. Pedestal cabinets are really cool, and they've become very popular, Tim, because you can mount like an LCD TV to the wall,
right,
and then just run the cables to the pedestal. It's basically like a cheap version of a showcase cabinet, I guess you could say. But I think it works really well, and the pedestal is a lot easier to build than a full cabinet.
I agree.
I think it's a really great project for you, and hopefully when you do build it, we definitely want to see what it looks like. So send us over some pics as well. Let's see. YouTube Punk says Jack64 is going to be very busy. And I agree. He's going to be a very busy person. He says, I'm just cleaning them. Takes forever. They were all stored in a warehouse for 10 years.
Oh,
10
wow.
plus years. And Tim, we don't see as many warehouse finds as we used to.
No, not a long time.
But they're still around if you look around. So, okay, Tim, let us move on here to Michael. And Michael says, how are you today?
We're good, Michael.
There you go. I have a quick question. I just purchased a Junior Pac Man machine that's been sitting quite a while. It looks like it was a Pac Man machine originally. When I try to fire it up, all I get is humming noise, no net glow, just a humming noise. Anyway, I'm thinking of just starting from scratch and just putting a JAMA harness in. Do you know if the Pac Man Miss Pac Man 2 JAMA adapter will work for me, or should I just redo the whole machine? If I should start from scratch, what do you recommend I use for parts? Thank you for your time. And Tim, he did send over 2 quick pictures of it.
Okay.
And as you can see,
it was a Pac-Man.
It is a Pac-Man that was converted to a Junior Pac-Man. Tim, you used to have one like this.
We had just a game just like that.
Exactly. We had one that had been converted like that as well. And so, Tim, this is a conversion Junior Pac, not a dedicated one. There's a difference between the two.
Right.
And so, with that in mind, Tim, he's really wanting to kind of convert to JAMA, but what he wants to know is, can he use a Pac Man 2 JAMA adapter with that Junior Pac board in order to play it in his cabinet if he rewires a JAMA?
They should be able to, because it's the same pinouts.
Right, the kit version has the same pinouts. The kit
version,
right.
yeah.
I believe the dedicated version, the pinouts are a tad bit different.
Right.
If you have a dedicated Junior Pac. But we don't see dedicated Junior Pacs hardly ever.
Yeah.
I may have seen one.
Yeah, and they have the really big marquee.
Big marquee.
Look like a Mappy cabinet.
Very similar to Mappy, right? I was about to say the same thing. So, I think I've seen one. Like, I'm thinking back in my memory banks, maybe one at an auction.
Yeah, at an auction.
But the kit version, Tim, I'm pretty sure has the same pinouts because it was meant to be a quick conversion from Pac-Man. Right. So, with that in mind, Tim, you think the adapter will work?
I think so.
And I am with you there. I think so.
But the problem is that we don't necessarily know that his board is a good board.
True.
It could be the problem of what he's having. So we really need to diagnose, get it down to what's going on with the current board. Just because you put a new switcher and all that, if your board's no good, it still won't work.
Exactly.
So, you might want to make sure before you do all that your power supply, your fuses, your wiring, the fact that it's just humming, that sounds to me like it could have just a blown fuse or something. So I would really check into that first, because you may have a working game with just a little bit of mod or something. Then you would have to go and rewire everything. That would be pretty difficult.
Well, Tim, what I would say is if he has his heart set on modding it to JAMA, even if the Junior Pac board doesn't work, you could always go 16-1. Exactly, you could always go that 16-1 route, and that would be okay. But for the most part, I think you're exactly correct. We do not know if this Junior Pac-Man board works right now.
Right.
We have no idea. And Tim, just based on what he's saying, it does sound more like a power supply issue, so he definitely needs to check that. But could be a board issue. We don't know. And if it's a board issue and you do all the rewiring and everything, and you hook the adapter up with the board and it still doesn't work, you're not up a creek at that point, but you kind of did the conversion for no reason.
Right.
Except to plug a 16-1 in it. Okay, and so I think I'm with you. Let's do a little bit more troubleshooting before we just jump to the rewiring, JAMA, and everything like that. But of course, Tim, it's up to Michael and his ultimate decision. But I'm kind of leaning more towards you, where I'd rather have him troubleshoot a little bit more, see if he could get it working, and if he could determine if the board was good, and if the board is good, then at that point,
then you do it.
Exactly.
Right.
If he wants to do the JAMA conversion, he could say, "Well, I have a good working board; it'd be easy to do." But if it's working at that point,
then you may just play it and don't worry about
it. Exactly. So there's several options here for you, Michael, but we're going to throw up the slide real quick just so you can see here. Yes, a Pac Man 2 Miss Pac Man 2 JAMA adapter should work with your Junior Pac Man board. And Tim, this is assuming, of course, it is the kit version like we talked about. But the problem is that we don't know if the board works or not, like you mentioned, Tim. So there's no guarantee that rewiring your cabinet JAMA and using the adapter and the board will get the game working. No guarantee.
Right.
Okay, until we know that the board works. Instead of jumping straight to the JAMA rewiring, we recommend just troubleshooting it first, checking power supply, wiring, fuses, etc. See if you can get the game working. And then if you want to rewire JAMA, or you can, or if you just want to use that as a last resort, which is probably what we would do, then you can do that as well. If the board, and here's the thing, Tim, if he goes JAMA and the board doesn't work, you can get a 60-in-1, has Junior Pack on it,
right.
And it's not like you've lost that much. So, I mean, in a way, you're not losing a lot by doing the JAMA rewire up front, except that, Tim, we like to keep things as original as possible, just personally. So, but Michael, if you wanted to do the conversion to JAMA, I mean, you're really not losing a lot in that. If the board doesn't work, you can buy a 60-in-1, you're back up and running. So, correct. I mean, it's kind of really up to you as the way you want to go. We're more of the kind of people who want to keep everything original, but if you are more of the guy that just wants to rewire JAMA and go that route, then that's fine too. So just whichever way you decide, let us know, and we'd love to hear your story about whichever direction you end up going. So keep us updated, and let us know if you have any other questions about whatever you end up doing, if it's troubleshooting or JAMA conversion.
Hey, I see a big yellow thing.
I do too. I see a yellow one. YouTube Punk has sent over $10, Tim.
Thank you.
He says, "Happy November. What were the last arcade games you guys picked up?" So let me think here. So the last arcade game that I was about to say, the last arcade game that I picked up one. I was gonna say the Smelly Soul Edge, but I think I picked up one after that. And I can't remember what it is, because I moved one over there. I moved one over to storage recently, and I can't remember which one I moved over there. I wanted to say it was the Stinky Soul Edge, maybe the last one, but there may have been one. I think there was one after that, and I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. Or maybe, no, I think that was the last one. So Stinky Soul Edge was my last one. Now, that's not counting Arcade1Ups.
Right.
I picked up a couple of Arcade1Ups. In fact, Tim, I picked one up yesterday.
Oh,
yeah,
that's right.
I picked one up yesterday. I picked
on sale.
They had a clearance at one of our local stores, Tim, and I picked up the Galaga Galaxian combo for $150. So I'm probably gonna now, Tim. I am running out of room for Arcade1Ups, so I'm thinking you need to take that one home with you tonight when you leave. So I don't know if you can cram it into your car or not,
I can do
but
it.
but you may need to take it with you so I can have some room. But unfortunately, I think the Stinky Soul Edge was the last one, Tim. You know, we haven't been to auctions in a while.
No.
And just because we've been busy, and so I mean, I'd love to go to an auction again and pick up some stuff. But
you know what? I bet you won't guess what the last game I picked up was.
What was the last game you picked up?
A centipede.
A centipede.
That used to be mine.
Oh, you picked
bought
it up.
it back.
Oh, you bought it back. Okay, so you do have it again. I was wondering, you said you had it again. I'm like, I don't remember you picking it up.
I bought it from Matt.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Matt Carter sold it back to me.
There you go. So you got your centipede back. Well, I tell you what.
You ever do a buyback?
Yes. Well, you know, you get rid of a game, and then you're like, I really like, exactly, I missed that game, I want it back, and you just were lucky enough to pick it back up.
Yeah.
So good for you.
A buyback.
There you go. Buybacks are always good, Tim. Well,
probably after several years.
Yeah, I was about to say it's been several years now, but anyway. So that, I mean, how long ago was that now?
It's probably been a year or two.
Okay.
So actually, it needs it quit working, so I got a deal on it because it quit working. So now I got to work on it, and I actually got the 60-in-1 out of my garage yesterday. So now there's a space.
That's where you're taking the Arcade1Up at home.
So now I'm thinking I need something in my space.
There you go. Well, you have the Miss Pac Man in storage too, right?
I do.
Yeah, you need to do
still there.
You need to do both those.
Yeah, I know.
A Miss Pac Man Centipede. That's a great combo to have. I'm just saying. So, but anyway, so there you go. Yeah, we haven't picked up much lately. Hoping we can go to auction at some point. Because, like I said, I'm still looking for a stand-up Hydro Thunder.
Okay, I'll remember that now.
If you're looking for one, or if you find one, let me know. But anyway, so there we go. Let's go on here, Tim. Oh, by the way, if you would like to donate to the show, you guys can hit the little $sign down below, Tim.
There you go.
Right, and donate there. Or Tim, there's a PayPal donation link on our main channel page now. Up at the top, in the top right corner, there's a PayPal link that you can donate there as well.
Nice.
So you can do that if you don't want to do it via the YouTube link. But we appreciate all the donations. Thank you, YouTube Punk. Thank you, everybody who's ever donated to us. And please consider it, Tim, because it makes sure that we continue to provide you with great live programming. Well, with live programming. I shouldn't say great. We continue to provide you with live programming. And you can continue to keep Tim swimming in laptops or whatever it is. We got your new one.
I know.
Yeah, so we're gonna upgrade Tim here. Tim had been using a Chromebook.
It's your mom.
It is my mom. I'll call her back.
Okay.
My mom's calling. Live show. There you go. But I'll call her right back. But the thing about it is that you've been using Chromebook.
Yes.
And so I'm kind of getting off topic here. Chromebooks are really great unless you want to interface with printers and scanners and some other things.
Which is kind of the problem I'm having with it.
Right.
And I need to do some, like, updating a resume, stuff like that. It's not impossible. It's just a little bit harder when you don't have Excel and Windows and Word and stuff
we got
that.
you an upgrade to a Windows 10 laptop, and that was all thanks to the great donations from everybody here. Thank you guys. So Tim's gonna do that, and we're gonna sell the Chromebook. So so look for that on eBay very soon. One Arcade Repair Tips used Chromebook. But anyway, we thank you guys for your support always. So kind of off topic there, Tim.
Well, we do. One reason why we bought the laptop was, number one, is we know at some point one of us is not going to be able to be here, but we can Skype in and maybe still do a live show.
Exactly.
Even if we're in different parts of the country or not at the same, or even at my house instead of here. So
yeah, so I mean, eventually we'll probably do remote live shows, which is what that was bought for, and we have a mic set up for Tim and everything, so that he can do one if he needs to remotely. So we don't, because I hate missing live shows. I mean, sometimes we have to reschedule just because. You know, like, last December we went to a concert. Like, I had a concert on the first Thursday of the month.
Right.
So, like, can't do it all the time. But we try to be here the first Thursday night of every month. So, okay, Tim, we got to move on here. Now, we got a lot of chatter here. Ray says, hey, guys, I have a Space Invaders Deluxe, and the picture is slightly tilting to the right at the bottom of the screen. The picture is clear and sharp. Any ideas? Tim, we've seen this if the yoke gets a little wonky.
It sounds like his yoke got turned or twisted.
Or may have,
the convergence rings or something on there.
Right, so you may try, you can adjust the yoke with the game on, but you got to be very careful, rubber gloves and everything. But you can turn it off, and then you may just push the yoke up on the monitor, on the tube, and then maybe twist it just a hair to see if it makes a difference in the picture. Yes. And if it does make a difference at that point, then you may have to tweak it a little bit more to get it where
we
you
always
want.
say mark where it is. That way you can't, because if you get worse, it can get worse.
Yes, it can.
And so at least you can get kind of back to where you were.
Well, the nice thing about the yoke is there's not a lot of play in them typically.
Right.
So
if you just got to push them on a little bit
exactly,
more.
you may have to just push it up a little bit more. You may have to turn it. But when you turn it, don't turn it much, because I mean it usually doesn't have a lot of give in it anyway. But I mean, we're talking about 10, like less than 3 degrees.
Okay.
You know, I mean, we're very, 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 very small rotation. But it makes a huge difference. A small rotation makes a huge difference in your picture. Okay. So you may actually have to adjust the neck or the yoke on your monitor.
Yeah, I was thinking more of the convergence rings. If you go to
convergence rings
with
may
them,
help as well.
Make sure and mark them
right,
where
but I'm
they
talking
are.
about the physical yoke.
Physical yoke itself, yes.
Right, exactly. The physical yoke you may have to do as well. So you may try. Now, convergence can play a part in that. If you a lot of times if that's the case, you're going to need to adjust all the rings over, because it'll basically move the whole picture over. But it really just depends on your setup and everything. So, but try the yoke, try those convergence rings if you have them on your monitor, and see if that will help out that bottom corner of your monitor. Let's see. Jason says he's got a Pac Man Mini here. So there you go. Diego says, hi, question. Every time I turn on the monitor, the picture looks like it's out of sync. If the horizontal hold is not where it should be, after 5 minutes, it looks perfect. Any ideas? So this happens a lot in times when you may need a cap kit, because like a lot of times it's like maybe the voltage is a little bit too low, and then once the caps kind of get to their full capacity, it lets all of the voltage through and everything kind of does it. So it could be cap kit. Could be related to the potentiometers themselves, although if that's the case, then a lot of times the potentiometer, it won't work off, like it still won't work even later necessarily. And so
I'm with you. Cap kit normally will solve that.
If your voltage is too low, if your hold is not dialed in properly, if your sync is not dialed in properly, those can all cause that. So like let's say your hold is just a tad bit off. Sometimes that will cause it to where it looks like the hold is off, and then when it powers up, it's fine. But it's just because that hold is just right out of range. Just enough out of range to where when the monitor heats up, it's fine. So you may need to adjust sync, holds, B+ voltage. It may be that you're right on the bottom edge of the B+ voltage. You may need to tweak it just a hair so that it lets more voltage through up front. So that way you get it right off the bat. So those are all things that can cause little like hold sync issues like that to arise. So try all those. Hopefully one of those helps you out.
Yeah, that's good, Jonathan. You learned a lot over these years.
There you go. I was about to say, I think I learned most of it from you. The Rexer show. So this was from Tim. This was from Greg earlier, the one who was asking about the cabinets that we were doing. He says, have you used an AtGames Ultimate yet? So we'll show this here in a minute, Tim, but my wife found one at Sam's when she went shopping.
Oh, okay.
Like, they actually have them in box. And, Tim, I'm going to Sam's tomorrow night for something else. Or sometime this weekend.
Right. You took a picture.
Right. Yeah, she took a picture. So I'm going to get to go up there and see the box.
Okay.
I don't know if they'll have one on display or not, but we have not seen it. Like, actually, but they do have them in stores, which was surprising, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I didn't think we'd actually see them in stores. But I'd love to take a look at one. I hope when I go tomorrow night, they have one out of the box and on the floor.
Okay.
But I don't know if they will or not. So we have not seen one yet. Hoping to see one soon. Silverball Mania, Mr. Silverball Mania says, hello from the Buckeye State. Have you seen eBay selling cheap new CRT monitor chassis? What is the quality of them? And do you get what you pay for? The quality of them is pretty low. You do get what you pay for, but in a pinch, they work.
Yes.
So, I mean, they can
we
work.
bought like 3 of them, and one of them just seemed to always give problems. One worked great, never any problems. And then one was kind of like it just couldn't get right. Like it always had something wrong with it. So, like 1 out of 3 for us, just personally.
Right. You're better off fixing your chassis if it's in a repairable state. I will say that. But if your chassis is not in a repairable state, then you may be better off buying the universal.
I would go with the generic chassis over the generic tube.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
or
over the
whole new monitor.
Yeah, a whole new monitor. Yeah, like, so you'd rather just buy, if your tube is good, just buy the chassis. You're talking about the whole new, like, cheap CRTs from like China and stuff like that, Japan. Yeah, they're kind of bad. If you're buying the whole monitor. Now, with that said, you can still get quality 27-inch MacVision monitors, but you can't get 19s. There are 19-inch CRTs out there, but they're terrible quality, like the whole monitor. But the quality we've seen is pretty awful.
Yeah.
So you're better off with a universal chassis over a complete cheap, like Japanese monitor replacement. But at the same time, you're better off with rebuilding your chassis than doing anything. So, but here's the deal. Let's say you're the kind of person who has arcade parties every so often, and you have a game go out like the night before, because, Tim, that always happens. Exactly, it just happens. Keeping a universal chassis around, not a bad idea. So you can pop it in real quick if you need to. I mean, it may not work as well as the original chassis, but it'll get you up and running, and that's what your guests want anyway. So if it doesn't look as good or whatever, they're not going to care. So anyway, there we go. Let's see. Jack64 wanted to ask, what do you guys think about the universal? Oh, same thing. Okay. So both Mr. Silverball Mania and Jack64 both asked about the universal chassis. So another thing about the universal chassis, Tim, that we found is that they're not very repairable. So they're kind of like, once they go out, I mean, they can be fixed, but they're heck to work on compared to some of the original chassis that you have. And so, like we said, in a pinch, it's not a bad solution. You can do it, but wouldn't recommend it for long-term use. I mean, you can, but for the most part, you're better off rebuilding your monitor chassis that's on your tube. So there you go. Okay, are we caught up?
Yep.
We are. You okay?
Drink.
I was about to say, this kind of happened the last month too.
Yeah,
I had to get you the thing, so I'm going to take a sip too. We're going to take a break. That's how you know it's real. That's how you know it's real right there, Tim. But anyway. Okay, let us move on here to Tom. So I'm going to bring this up. And Tim, you're kind of moving in and close. It's kind of out of focus sometimes, so that's okay. Okay, you okay?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. So a question from Tom. So I've got a Primal Rage cabinet. The screen starts to get crazy, then no picture. I changed the power supply, which brought up the game, and it looks great again, but now there's no sound. I ran the sound test. It says it tests fine, and the board gives me the green light. I'm not sure what to think. I'm not sure what to think since sound worked before the issue with the old power supply. Any ideas? So, Tim, we have Tom here, and he's got a Primal Rage, and it went out on him, and so he put a new power supply in. It's working fine, but we're not getting the sound now. Okay, right. So I mean, we're getting picture, everything's working, but we're not getting the sound. What do you think's going on here? The only thing he changed, it sounds like, was the power supply, right?
And that leads us to believe right away that he did not hook up the negative 5 volts. Which I believe Primal Rage, a lot of games kind of that error require. So you got to hook up the 5 volts to get the audio to work.
Exactly. So, Tim, like games like Area 51, for instance,
Lethal Enforcers,
Cyberball. I remember one time I had this problem on, but there's a lot of games in that era that, like, what is that? Like that late 90s, mid 90s era that require the negative 5 volts to be hooked up. And so the very first thing we'd recommend, Tom, is that you check to make sure that the negative 5 volts is hooked up on the new power supply. Now, with that said, it's possible that whenever your power supply took a dump, that it damaged your soundboard. I mean, that is possible. But the fact that you're getting good feedback from the sound test, and the sound test is saying everything's okay, kind of leads us to believe that it's probably more of a negative 5 problem. Now, you need to make sure that you didn't unplug the speaker or something like that. I mean, things like that happen. But since the power supply was the only thing you changed, I'm kind of with Tim here. Negative 5 volts sounds like probably the issue. So, Tim, I'm going to go ahead and bring up this slide real quick. Make sure that you hooked up the negative 5 volts line to the JAMA harness when you replace the power supply. Some boards, like Primal Rage, must have the negative 5 volts line hooked up for audio to work. Take a look at our post on troubleshooting games with sound issues for more tips on repairing problems like this. Another note about Primal Rage boards, if you're running the speakers through the JAMA harness, you might connect them directly to connector P8 on the soundboard to see if it restores the audio. If so, it could be a connection between the soundboard and the main board is broken somewhere. Now, Tim, there is a P8 connector on Primal Rage on the soundboard that routes. There's a connector that hooks up to the main board and supplies the audio to the JAMA harness. Okay, so if that connector is busted, you may not get sound from the JAMA harness if that's where you're getting the sound at. So
go straight there.
Exactly, go straight to the P8 connector.
You won't be able to control the volume,
right?
But you can at least determine that there's a wiring issue somewhere,
right? Or a broken trace on the board, something like that. And so go directly to the source. Go to the P8 connector on the soundboard, and Tim, you can find the pinouts in the manual for that. Okay, they've got the schematic, and so hook up your speaker to there. See if you get sound there. If you're getting sound there, then there must be a problem somewhere on your main board with the way that's all being routed. It could be in the connector to the P8 board. To the main board. It could be in the connector itself, or it could be a broken trace or something on the main board causing that as well.
Awesome.
So, I mean, those are just some things to think about. Tim, we used to have a Primal Rage.
Yeah, we did.
So, I mean, at one point, and so we actually deconverted it. I don't know, and usually I'm not a fan of like taking something that was, dedicated and making it non-dedicated, but we got the cabinet cheap. And even though it worked, nobody was playing Primal Rage anymore because this is how operators think. Nobody's playing that game anymore. We're going to put something else in it. And Tim, if you remember, we peeled the side art off of it, which is probably a terrible collector thing to do. And we put a new board and game in it. I can't remember what we put in it. And then we put it back out on route.
Maybe so.
That's how operators are, guys.
That's been a minute.
Oh, yeah. A minute? Yeah. Like maybe a decade?
Yeah.
But that's how operators are, guys. I mean, you get something cheap at an auction, but Primal Rage isn't going to make you money. You convert to something else, put it out on route, and you're good to go, right? It is what it is. So, sorry. That's why there's not a dedicated Primal Rage out there. There's one less dedicated Primal Rage because we deconverted one. And I feel bad about it if that makes you feel any better, but whatever we put in it made a whole lot more money than Primal Rage. So it is what you do as an operator.
It's like I remember the monitor always had sync issues.
Yeah, I think that's one we ended up blowing the monitor up on. We hooked it up without an isolation transformer.
Oh.
Had to replace some diodes.
Ah.
So it happens. But so don't do that. Isolation transformers are really good things.
Most people don't understand. We learned what not to do a lot more than we know what to do.
Oh, yeah.
So
we have a whole video on the diodes on a monitor chassis. What do you think that video came from? Just saying. It happens. If you hook one up with an isolation transformer, there's a row of diodes on Wells Garner monitors. You need to check them. There you go. So, Tom, hopefully answers your question, and good luck getting the sound restored on your Primal Rage cabinet. Okay, Tim, let's continue on here. Mr. Silverball Mania, the problem I've seen with them on the Universal is that they don't give you the ohm readings for the horizontal vertical windings. So I think that can be a problem because of the range of the ohms. That is correct. Yeah. The ones on eBay that I've seen give you the ohm rating, but you need to make sure you measure the ohms on your tube and make sure they're in range.
Right.
Okay, so the Universal ones I've seen give you the ohm rating that they're good through, but you need to check your tube to make sure that your tube is compatible with that ohm range.
Right.
So, and I mean, if you don't do that, if you don't check compatibility, then there's no telling if it's going to work or not. I mean, it's kind of a crapshoot at that point. But definitely want to check your tube that you're hooking it up to before you order to make sure that it's within the range of the Universal chassis. So there we go. Okay, I think we're caught up. Yes, we're caught up. So, Tim, question from Simon. I've got an original House of the Dead deluxe arcade cabinet. The screen shows blurry images and text. I've tried adjusting everything in the front, like contrast and brightness, and I can't find any dials in the back. Help! Now, Tim, if I'm not mistaken, House of the Dead deluxe is a projection screen.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, this is the style of projection that we find in things like Wave Runner, Brave Firefighters. What are some other games that use that projection screen? I can't even remember at the moment. Star Wars Trilogy.
Yes, Star Wars Trilogy is a great example.
And Tim, I think those are either Mitsubishi or Toshiba.
Usually Mitsubishis.
Mitsubishis. So now, Tim, you've worked on a lot of these because you used to have them at Chuck E. Cheese. I remember the Wave Runner. I remember Star Wars Trilogy. I was trying to think of, you had a couple of them at one point because before LCDs were cheap enough to put in games, projection screens are what these companies used in order to give you that big screen feel. Daytona, the old Daytona USAs had projection screens in them like the deluxe units did.
Right.
And so, Tim, obviously you've had a lot of experience with projection screens. So when you're getting these blurry text, blurry images, what do you think's going on with the projection?
Well, sometimes they just get a lot of dust and stuff in there, and just cleaning the lenses will just blow you away on how much better the picture will look. You use like an eyeglass cleaner or something you clean your iPads and stuff with. You can do that very carefully.
So, I mean, just basically like alcohol?
Yeah,
with a very soft cloth?
Well, very soft cloth will make an amazing difference. Just cleaning it. And trust me, they'll be dusty when you get in there if you've never cleaned them. But other than that, you kind of have to go into an on-screen kind of programming kind of deal like we talked about earlier. That's kind of where a lot of that really came from. Once you get in there, you can adjust the convergence, the sharpness, the brightness, all those things, kind of like an old TV. That's what it is. It is a TV.
Or like those digital arcade monitors that we were talking about, on-screen display.
Right. So that's where I would head first. Now, having said that, yes, you can recap, rebuild the guns and stuff. There is a flyback on there, like that. Like it's not really like a fly. It's kind of like that. Right? It's different. Right.
But it's a transformer of some sort.
Yeah, it's like a transformer. Flyback's probably not the best term for it because it's not. You don't have a tube. But at the same time, there is some knobs and stuff that you can adjust. But most of them are on screen, and that's what you need to look at.
Now, Tim, I sent you this question via text, and you sent back a link. What I found, though, is when I looked in the House of the Dead Deluxe Manual, it literally has a breakdown of both the Mitsubishi and the Toshiba and how to go through the on-screen menu.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so instead of doing the link that you sent me, I actually linked to the manual. And so that's what I'm going to show here, Tim. We'll go ahead and bring it up. House of the Dead Deluxe originally used a projection screen monitor, so we're assuming that's what you have installed in your cabinet. Many of these monitors have an on-screen menu, or OSD on-screen display, that allows you to gain access to the convergence, sharpness, and other settings, which should help you tweak the picture to your liking. The manual for the game has a lot of great information on how to adjust the convergence on a Mitsubishi and Toshiba, because those were the original models that we found in the cabinet, and there's the manual link, and it's also below in the show description, Tim, so you can go there. Nice. Here's the deal. On some of these models, he mentioned that he only had the brightness and the contrast. On maybe both these models, you need the remote to access the on-screen display. Okay. You can't access it from the opening in the front. Right. You actually have to have the remote.
Which is in the back.
Right. Well, but you may have to purchase an infrared remote. Like it actually shows if you go to the manual, it actually shows the remote for each unit.
Yeah, you need the remote control.
The physical, just like a TV. Like a TV remote. You need the physical remote control for these units. And so in order to access like the convergence and the sharpness, you may need to purchase an actual remote for it.
Yeah, but a lot of them, you can get the universal remote and you can program it and it'll work.
There you go.
That's what we had to do many times because you're like, oh, where's that stupid remote? We'd have to dig or we'd find a box full of them. We're like, well, you look for the Mitsubishi one, but... Eventually, we lost one, or it just didn't work, and we got just a universal remote and programmed them a few times.
Now, the thing that you mentioned when you did send back the text was that it was probably out of convergence. It seems like that's a common problem with projection screens because of the way those guns are. If the guns don't line up perfectly, then you're going to get kind of like you would get when we adjust the convergence or purity rings on a tube.
Exactly.
If they don't line up perfectly, you get kind of all the different colors shooting a little off, and And even though it's not technically blurry, it makes it look blurry. Right, exactly. Because you're not getting a straight overlap. Right, exactly. And so, if you're not getting the red, green, and blue all overlapped, then you're going to have kind of the shadowing effect, which kind of causes it to look really, really blurry.
But you'd be surprised what cleaning a lens would do for those things, too.
So cleaning the lens, but also maybe trying to access that on-screen menu.
Definitely, you need to do that because, and who knows why, just over time, you got to tweak it some.
And when you move them, I'm sure those guns come out of alignment. They're probably much more sensitive than what we get with like a tube. Because, in a tube, the people put, silicone and things over the convergence rings to make sure they don't move. But I don't know how much play there are in the guns in a projection screen when you move it. You know what I'm saying? There may be a little bit more play in there. So, anyway. So, Simon, hopefully answers your question. So, try the cleaning, try the adjustments via the on-screen menu, and let us know if you have any success with those. I think the next one is our last question, Tim, but we have a couple of things here. Jason says, are we still getting the 40th anniversary Pac Man Timex watch? We're getting to that in a second. Everybody's getting ahead of us tonight.
All right.
Getting ahead of us, guys. We're getting there. We'll get there here in a second. But anyway, Tim, let us do the last question that we have here for tonight, and this is from Scott. Hi there. I have a question for you. I have a sidearms arcade cabinet that's taking up too much space in my garage. Do you know if arcade cabinets like that can be taken apart, stored, and put back together later? I don't see any obvious screws anywhere. I've never taken apart a cabinet, so I'm not sure how to do that. Is it easy enough to remove the power supply, motherboard, monitor, etc.? It is easy enough to remove those. But what about the cabinet itself? Hoping there's a way to do it without destroying it. Now, Tim, this is funny. Because earlier we had Greg who was trying to build cabinets.
Right.
And here we have Scott who's trying to tear them down. So we've run the whole gamut tonight as far as cabinet work goes. So Scott wants to know if there's an easy way that he can bust apart his sidearms cabinet for storage purposes so it's not taking up so much room in his garage. So what do you think, Tim?
Well, unfortunately, there is no easy way to do that. They did not mean for them to come apart.
Right.
And they're made to withstand a lot of movement and hauling and stuff. So they're well built. Cabinets are well put together. In fact, we've tried to take cabinets apart, let's say they were water damaged or whatever, and most of the time I would get frustrated and even trying to be gentle, it ended up breaking or splintering or doing something. It's funny though, you might remember my father-in-law at one time when he was kind of a new collector, he made a cabinet that you could fold up and it would, like a suitcase kind of almost, then he would pop it out and he would do that. And I thought, why in the world would you build that? He spent a lot of time on it, but he thought it was cool. And I guess as a new collector, it would make sense.
Sure.
But if you've been around games for a long time, it's just not very practical. It just doesn't work that way. That's just not they're not made to be taken apart. They're made to stay together because if you could take them apart, trust me, you put them at Chuck E. Cheese or at Mr. Gaddy's, some kid would take them apart for you.
That's right.
And it's kind of like you ever go to the restroom and the hardware is not a Phillips head screwdriver, like something easy somebody could get in there and mess with because people do that. And so if you really want to take the cabinet apart, you can pull out some nails, but it's stuff stapled and glued. You could use like a rubber hammer and be gentle, but boy, you're going to really be frustrated if you want a perfect cabinet taken all apart, and then you're going to put it back together later. I would just say you need more room.
Now here's what you could do now, Tim. This might be controversial. You could take an Arcade1Up cabinet and pull all the stuff out of it and put in one of those. Hey, it's smaller.
You could do that.
Do that as well, but obviously you lose the full sizeness of the cabinet.
But the simple answer is no. There is no easy way to do it. In fact, I can't think of a single cabinet that really comes apart that way that you could literally fold it up and put it in a closet and then bring it back out.
Now, obviously, the kit cabinets, Tim, like the Holland Computers one,
right?
That we have shown a video on, Tim. That one you can, okay?
Right.
'Cause it's all cam locked,
right?
Okay, so technically you could do that one.
You could,
because and after you install it, you could take the top off, store the top separately, take the cam locks out of all the rest of it, and fold it up. But
it would still almost be not worth the trouble.
Yeah,
but it could be done without damaging everything.
And you could put it back together. But the problem is that, like you said, arcade cabinets weren't meant to come apart.
Right.
Okay, and so it just doesn't work very well, unfortunately, for that. And so, Tim, I'm going to bring this up here. I just have an empty cabinet here. But unfortunately, there is no easy way to take apart an arcade cabinet. Most arcade cabinets were shipped to operators fully assembled, Tim. And so they were not designed to be taken apart, like you mentioned. If you really want to take it apart, like Tim mentioned, you can remove all the nails, staples, etc. Use a rubber mallet to separate the panels. You will need to do this very slowly in order to avoid excessive damage to the cabinet. But Tim, I'm telling you right now, you can pretty much expect that you will have some damage.
Yeah.
Yes, you will have some damage during the process, and that will make reassembling it later tricky, okay, to say the least. We recommend avoiding this if at all possible. If at all possible. So, like I said, just don't recommend it at all.
No.
So, yeah, I mean, it doesn't work out well. Taking apart cabinets is tough. So anyway, so there we go. Okay, guys. So, okay, it sounds good. Tim, hopefully Scott gets the message on that one. That's the best way to say it.
Don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it if you can avoid it. Just tell your wife she's gonna have to park outside. Right. Or maybe you should.
Nobody uses a coffee table to get rid of it.
That's right. There you go.
There's got to be some kind of furniture, kid, or something you can get rid of.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Something else. Right.
Yeah.
There you go. So Scott, hopefully answers your question. And if you do decide to take it apart, let us know how it goes.
Yeah,
we want to know.
Shoot that video.
That's right. Shoot that video. There we go. Okay, Tim. So now we have your tech tip up next, but we got a couple of things here in the live chat. Danny says, I got my Vapor TRX going, but another issue, I had to go to the board test on the screen and it's saying bad sound ROM. Any suggestions on where I can get one? Hobby ROMs will burn you new ROMs based on MAME, on the MAME ROM set. So if you know which sound ROM it is, you can contact Hobby ROMs and they may be able to help you out with getting a new one burned, especially if you tell them that you own the board and you're looking for a replacement.
Right.
As long as MAME has the set that's compatible with your board, they should be able to do it.
Yep.
So, but you may have to supply that, depending. It just depends, but they should be able to burn you one. HobbyROMs.com, Tim. Mm-hmm. So there you go. TXJYT says, I have a centipede cabinet I need to move out of my garage. It's just the cabinet that's in fair condition. It's free. You just need to pick it up. He's in Allen, Texas, not far from us, Tim.
Ah.
So, but you just bought a centipede, so you're out of the running for that. And he does say message him here on YouTube if you're interested. So if anybody here is interested in a free centipede cabinet, contact TXJYT and have him hook you up.
Right. If you posted that on our Facebook page, we definitely have a lot of listeners in the Dallas area. There's also we can send you a link, maybe the DFW group, collecting group. Somebody would love to have that and
absolutely,
restore it.
Especially for free. And we were talking about people tearing up their games out of their garage. He's just like, I'm going to get rid of it. There you go. Now, it's just the cabinet.
Right.
Just the cabinet. But I mean, you could build a MAME, you could restore it. You got a lot of options there. You could take the stuff out of the Arcade1Up and put it in there. So there's a lot of different options to you. But hopefully hopefully Tex JYT can get his centipede cabinet out of his garage. Because guys, we understand what it's like to move cabinets and have to get them out of there. Tim, we moved our storage building. We can tell you better than anybody what it's like to move a lot of cabinets and get them out of there. So there you go. So, and he says, awesome, will do. Thanks, guys. So there you go. And then Danny also says he has a converted Primal Rage cabinet, Tim. Could be ours. That's where it went.
Interesting.
So, you never know. You never know. But anyway. Now, Tim, we have your tech tip coming up here. And when you sent this to me, I was like, man, this is cool.
Yeah.
I didn't even know these things existed.
I didn't either. And I haven't bought one yet, but we'll go into it when we talk about the tech tip. I just thought this is something that we need to get. This is something that should be in your toolbox. Okay, so Tim, without further ado, Tim's tech tip. Here's the slide. Well, I'll give a little background. One thing that we always recommend, if a game is blowing a fuse, we always say, well, get a handful of fuses, and you keep trying to figure out where it goes. Well, that could be expensive, Jonathan, especially fuses, and some of them aren't that easy to find. Sure. And what this does, these are great tools when troubleshooting blown fuses in both arcade games, pinball machines. Instead of continuously blowing the fuses and wasting money, the circuit will simply trip like a breaker. and can continue troubleshooting with a simple click of the button. So you push the button in, if I understand it right, and then it trips it, and button pops out. Your game shuts off. You know, oh, it's not this. You pop it back in. It works like a breaker.
Exactly. No different than like a regular circuit breaker in your breaker box.
Exactly. So while you're trying to track it down, it keeps tripping it. Well, you're just tripping. You're not wasting or blowing a fuse. And then, oh, it didn't trip. Now you found it, and then you put the fuse in.
Exactly.
You place one fuse instead of the 20 that it took me and a whole box full sometimes. So each set, it's a whole set, comes with the circuit breaker for the 3 amp, 5 amp, 7 amp, 10 amp, 15 amp, and a 20 amp, which pretty much will cover you with just about anything you're working on arcade games. Sets can be purchased for $20, which is, again, very reasonable.
Yeah, shipped in the United States.
Shipped. So, and that's for all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. So you get 6 of those for $20 shipped. You can. I just thought it was a good deal. So, guys, if you're not familiar with this, and I think that this would be great. I'm not familiar with Troxel Repair, but I think it's an awesome thing to have, and I would like to order some. I think those would be great to have in my toolbox.
Well, Tim, it looks like you'll be able to get some because Tex JYT just donated $20 to us.
Wow.
Just like
there
that.
we go.
There you go. So you'll be able to get them, right? We'll get you some.
Maybe we'll get them and shoot a video then.
There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, so, but thank you for the donation, Tex JYT. And, of course, you guys need to go pick up his cabinet. Somebody contact this man. Take his free cabinet, okay?
Yes.
You will not get free cabinets all the time. This doesn't happen, especially in the DFW area, Tim.
Right.
I should mention that. I used to live in Allen.
I wish we were a little closer. We like free stuff.
Absolutely. I used to live in Allen, Tim. I actually went to kindergarten in Allen.
You did?
Back in the day.
That's
so,
a long
time ago. But he's... Tex JYT says, these are great. I bought some at Texas Pinball Festival last year.
Oh, okay.
So there you go. So yeah, these things are awesome, guys. And I didn't even know about them, Tim, but it sounds like something that is just super helpful because like you said, how many of us have gone through a box of fuses trying to trace down that, that one broken solder joint or whatever the case may, or that one like frayed connection or whatever the case may be.
We have a 4-player Rabbits of Hollywood game and trying to figure out which gun or which coin door, or there's wires everywhere in that thing. We were popping fuses. We just had them. Nope, it's not this one. Nope, popped again. And tracing that down took us a handful of little bitty 4-amp fuses at about, I think they were 60 cents a piece. So 40 fuses or something, we went through. That was a lot of money, and this would be a great way to keep that from happening. So anyway, guys, tell me what you think. If you have them, and he does, I think that just seems like a great and a simple idea. Absolutely. And we have the link down in the show description, guys, if you guys want to purchase them. And Tim, we'll get a set too. So there you go. But let's see. Oh, a multimeter with an amp test will work wonderfully also. That's true. Yeah, you can do that as well. But, there's something about the trip. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I like the trip. Well, because you know exactly at what moment it does. Exactly. When something happens or when you turn this on or when this happens, then it trips the breaker. You can it helps you, just like when it blows a fuse, it tells you at what point is the problem. It helps. Right. I mean, you can watch the amps, right? If you can put your thing, you can watch the amps go up, but I'm not always paying that close of attention to know. And right. I don't always have, I guess you could take the alligator clips, clip it on and watch it, but you have to be watching it on a lot of meters. Yeah. They don't notify you immediately letting you know, oh, it tripped. You just kind of look at it and you're like, oh, it's more. But yes, you could also use that on your meter as well. It's another way to go about it. So, okay, Tim. Well, I think that brings us to some discussion section for tonight. Right. And Tim, it's been a slow news month. I should say that. It seems like we've had a lot of different things going on, and with Halloween, and we're getting into the holidays a little bit. But Tim, there's so many arcade-related products, and we're about to talk about a lot of those guys. But there's so many arcade-related products coming out, Tim. And one of the things is we've got Pac Man's 40th anniversary coming out, and there's all these cross promotions with all these different products. And Tim, it just got me thinking. It's have we reached peak arcade nostalgia? Okay. And so that's what we're going to be talking about tonight with our arcade debate. Have we reached peak arcade nostalgia? Okay. Yes or no? So, can we go any further with this? Right. Literally now you can buy miniature,
3/4 sized arcade games.
That work.
Okay, that work, that you can get at the store, that are flat packed and ready to go. You can get arcade socks, you can get arcade shirts, you can get, what else can we get, Tim? You can get arcade shot glasses, you know, I mean, everything. So with all that in mind, the debate topic for tonight, have we reached peak arcade nostalgia? Or Tim, are we still on an upward trajectory? Are we going to see even more? So that's where we are, Tim. And here we are in our little boxes, like always, that always seem so confining. But Tim, we're going to take a little reset here, and then we'll get started on our debate for tonight. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the arcade debate segment for this evening. Now, guys, here's the deal. It seems like everywhere you look, there's a new product that is arcade related. We've seen arcade socks, arcade shirts, arcade shot glasses, arcade posters, all sorts of different things. 3/4 size arcade games, full-size arcade games available at retail outlets. So, Tim, our debate question for tonight is, have we reached peak arcade nostalgia? Can we go anywhere else with it at this point? Is it only downhill from here, or do you see the nostalgia continuing onward? So Tim, with that in mind, what do you think? Have we reached peak arcade nostalgia, yes or no?
Well, I kind of think we have, because of the fact that we're not seeing any younger people pick up stuff. You see old guys like me getting more junk. And eventually our garages are full. Our wives are already mad at us. And if we buy one more thing, we're going to be in trouble. But if you think that, it maybe not, but to me it seems like that, we've had a good run, and it's nice that we've seen some things. But we're also getting things like the Arcade1Ups that aren't true arcades, even though they do bring back some of the nostalgia. I know what you're talking about. But it does seem like that it's oversold at the moment. And the customer, eventually, like us, is going to run out. I don't know that they're picking up a lot of new kids, new customers. I don't see any kids going with Pac Man lunchboxes to school these days. It's just old guys like us setting them up in their game rooms.
So here's the deal, Tim. I think that, yes, arcade nostalgia is high, but I don't know if we've reached the peak yet. Okay, so I'm going to say we're not quite there, and I know that we've kind of had this overrun of products and things, but it seems like we're at this really high tipping point, Tim, where everything is just hitting on all cylinders. It seems like every arcade-related product that they're putting out there is selling, and as long as this stuff continues to sell, I think we're going to continue to see new products out. We have Pac Man's 40th anniversary coming out next year, and it seems like there's going to be so much cross-promotion for that. We're going to see even more products. So I do think that while we may be near the peak, we're not there yet. I think we're going to continue to see more products come out. And Tim, it seems like people are buying them, because otherwise we wouldn't have so many products in the stores.
Well, if you think of 5 years ago when Hallmark releases like the Pac Man ornament, you couldn't get them, and they were sold out. Now, it seems like there's always an overstock, and they're not going for quite what they were, or the games aren't as much. So that's just one example where, like I said, it was really hot there for a little while. So I don't know. I guess time will tell. But if we don't start picking up and it doesn't start becoming the cool thing for the younger generation, then, we'll just keep swapping toys around. And I don't know that we have enough older generation that can afford to keep putting money in that. Of course, we do have the money because we work hard and we have jobs and we're not sitting on our mom's couch. But at the same time, is there enough? Is there a push towards making... And sometimes I've seen retro things come and make cool. I've seen kids wearing styles like we used to wear when we were in school and thinking it was new, but so you think that they can reach a bigger audience than they're already reaching?
I think they are, Tim, because, look at this. Obviously, I have a game room, but look at how many people have invested in Arcade1Up cabinets. Guess what the vast majority of those people who have bought arcade cabinets also have? Kids.
Right.
And so these kids are going to remember playing these little miniature arcade cabinets in their houses. And I think that's the kind of arcade nostalgia that they're going to have going forward. And so hopefully once they get a little bit older, they're going to spend some of their money on that, because they're going to remember, oh, my dad had one of those. I remember playing that when I was a kid. And so while they may not have the same arcade nostalgia that you and I have of actually going to an arcade, actually playing people, they're going to have the nostalgia of playing a 3/4 size arcade cabinet in their house like the Arcade1Up or something similar to that, or Or, Tim, I mean, Chuck E. Cheese is still around. Mr. Gaddy's where you work. There's still arcade games. And Tim, you have actual arcade-style games like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at your location. You have stuff like the Rabbids game that you mentioned earlier where, you're playing. And while this generation may not appreciate the same games we appreciated, I still think that going forward, when they get of age, they're going to want to invest some of their money into arcade games as well. Tim, I'm going to go ahead and give you the last word. What do you say to wrap this up?
Well, by all means, I hope we're right. I hope that we haven't crested. It just, anytime the market, just stuff comes in waves, and you see the wave cresting, and then, now that we're seeing Arcade1Ups and things at Sam's, and I think the 40th anniversary will help, and I think that's something that we'll definitely be celebrating and talking about some. But for the general public, I'm worried that the market's a little saturated. I see a lot of toys for sale, just like I see a lot of Arcade1Ups, but I also see them at clearance because they're not being bought as quickly as maybe they'd hope. But we'll see. Time will tell.
Now, I will say something real quick just to wrap up on the Arcade1Up. I did see an interview with the CEO of Arcade1Up, and one of the things he said was that, we have a manufacturer-suggested retail price. We do not control what retailers sell our product for. The thing is that if they want to sell them, most of them at retail pricing and then clearance out the last 10% of them at clearance pricing, then, we don't have control over that. They're allowed to do whatever they want to do. And so in most cases where we're seeing these clearances, it may just be because the retailer's trying to move that last 10%. They've already sold everything up to that point. They're just trying to move that last 10% out. But anyway, Tim.
Well, you never see iPhones discounted like that.
No, iPhones are a little bit different because they have contracts attached to them. But iPads you do.
Yeah,
you'll see iPads all the time that are discounted because iPad doesn't have necessarily a contract like you have with a wireless plan associated with it. So you do see it with iPads. You see it with Apple products sometimes where, it is actually discounted. You see it with a lot of Bose stuff. Bose stuff when I worked retail was not allowed to be discounted, but now you see more of that. Because when retailers buy this stuff, a lot of times they need to get rid of it to put more stuff on, and they'll clearance them out at certain prices. And so it happens, Tim. But I do get your point about there maybe being oversaturation of it. Maybe these retailers are buying too much of it. That could be part of it, but if it wasn't moving at all, they wouldn't buy it at all. And True. I think that's really what it comes down to. So what do you say, guys? Give us your feedback. Remember, if you're watching this on Facebook, you can leave a comment in the comment section below. If you're watching this on Twitter, just go ahead and hit us up with a reply. Send us an email, guys, at questions@arcaderepairtips.com. Let us know your opinion. Have we reached peak arcade nostalgia? And we'll see you next time for the arcade debate. Thank you again for joining us, and good night. Okay, we're done. There you go. Right. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll like I said, time will tell. Definitely there's a resurgence of things, which is cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to the store and seeing Pac Man games.
Exactly. You can go and you can buy arcade-related stuff. You can literally go buy an arcade cabinet.
Remember when you couldn't have found a shirt anywhere? Now they're at Walmart and Target and everywhere. Hot Topic, things like that. You can always find the retro kind of shirt. So
now here's the deal, guys. Is that kind of like Tim mentioned though? It's peaks and valleys. At the beginning of the 2000s. 80s stuff was hard to come by, but it was cheap when you found it. So arcade games were cheaper in the early 2000s because the demand wasn't there. But now, fast forward to 2015, Tim, and then all of a sudden we're at peak. We've been on this upward nostalgia curve, if you will. Where that's going to crest and come down, I'm not sure. That's the question. But just everything comes in waves like that, like you mentioned, Tim. And so at some point, it will crest and the demand will go back down and we'll kind of hit another valley and you'll see Arcade1Up selling for cheap and people getting them out of their houses and stuff like that. Yeah. So, it's going to happen eventually. At what point, don't know. But that's how cycles work, right, Tim?
That's the way it works.
It's the way it works. So, anyway, let us know what you think. Have we reached peak arcade nostalgia? Yes or no? And Tim, we're going to go ahead and talk about some of the products that are available right now.
Right here in town.
And here's one, Tim, we had a post on Facebook about the AtGames Legends Ultimate Cabinet and the Arcade1Up Pac Man cocktail are now available in retail stores. Tim, my wife went to Sam's to pick up some just stuff for us, and she snapped some pictures of both the Legends Ultimate and the Pac Man cocktail.
Nice.
I'll be making a trip to Sam's, like I mentioned, sometime this weekend, so I'll get to see some of this stuff. But both these, I think the pricing on both these are $500. $449 on the cocktail, $500 on the Legends Ultimate.
Not bad.
I do not know if this is the full-size Legends Ultimate or if this is the 3/4 size, because they do have two different ones. I think this may be the 3/4 size.
Looks like it.
Yeah, it may not be the full size, but they don't have a display model out, so it's hard to tell.
Is it already put together?
That's a good question. The way the box is, I
It
would say
almost
yes.
makes you think that.
Exactly. So you may not have to do assembly on it, which would be pretty
that's
cool if
nice.
you didn't have to.
Yeah.
But because, obviously with the Arcade1Up
Plug and
stand,
play.
there is some assembly. But here's the deal. There's a lot to be said about opening something on Christmas and just taking it out of the box and plugging it in.
Yeah.
Just saying. So, but they are available. Now, Tim, a lot of people were saying you're not going to see these at retail locations. Look, we are in a small podunk town in East Texas, and these are at our local Sam's Club. You're going to see these at retail locations.
I think so.
Okay, so they are available. Check your local Sam's, Costco's.
Ain't seen the Miss Pac Man one yet.
Yeah, that's a different thing. We talked about that in the last live show.
Right.
You're not going to see that one for a while. But anyway, you can, if you check these out in your place, let us know what you guys think. If you end up buying one, love to hear some opinions on either one of those.
The stools, too, are for sale?
Yeah, I think that's a kit. For $4.49, I think you get the stool and the cocktail.
It's not too bad.
No, it's not. Now, here's the deal. It's a 17-inch screen, I think, which is smaller than what you get with like a, like with a cocktail. Most cocktails have 19 inches, that we build. And here's the thing, $4.49, what's the kit from Holland Computers cost? $700?
Yeah.
I think it's $700. So, I mean, the Holland Computers kit's obviously a better kit overall, but for what you're getting here and the price
and the stools included,
and the stool and everything, it's not bad.
It's not too bad.
Not bad. So, I mean, I think if you wanted a cocktail and you're looking for one, it'd be a good deal for you. So, and we may see clearances after Christmas, so always something to keep in mind. So, Tim, here's something else that was announced. This is the Dragon's Lair RepliCade, and right now it's on pre-sale for $90 if you go to the Kickstarter page, plus shipping. But if you guys aren't familiar with the RepliCade style cabinets, they're 12 inches tall, so basically a foot tall. Now, this one here plays and controls like the original 1983 Dragon's Lair arcade machine. Comes with a working second screen scoreboard. So there's a screen up at the top, just... before you had the LED scoring up there, but there's a screen at the top that basically simulates the LED scoring, which is pretty darn cool. And it also comes with
mini laser display.
Yeah, an arcade, accurate controls and sound, and a mini laser disc player in the rear storage compartment.
That's
so just like
cool.
the original. $90 plus shipping for a limited time. A pretty cool little item to have around. And Tim, they made a Street Fighter one. They made a Centipede one. I was trying to think of some other ones that they made. Tempest one, I think.
Nice.
So they've got several of these, but they the quality on these is great, I've heard. So if you're into that kind of thing, definitely something to look at. And then, Tim, this is what somebody mentioned earlier, the Pac Man Timex watch, which looks pretty cool. This is the Indiglo style watch, Tim, if you're familiar with that. But we're going to see a lot of Pac-Man and Pac-Man being branded with certain brands over the next year because of the 40th anniversary of Pac-Man. So in 2020. So you can see the link to the Timex watch, Tim, but we're also going to have a Pac-Man Champion sports apparel that will be available as well. And so you're going to be able to find more arcade related stuff than ever before because of this.
So maybe we haven't peaked.
Exactly. So maybe we haven't peaked yet. Maybe it'll be next year. But the Timex watch, Tim, to me looks really cool. Now, I know all it is a bezel. Okay, that's all it is. I mean, look at it. It's a bezel. But still, doesn't it look cool? I'm just saying.
It does.
So it looks...
It's not a playable
classy
game.
and retro. Exactly. Classy and retro is what I would say. So, and I'm looking forward to what they come out with in the sports apparel line and exactly how all that's going to work. They've announced several other brands participating in the 40th anniversary on their website, pacman.com, so you can get more updates there. Okay, Tim. Well, I covered all that really quick. Now, one thing I did want to mention for our everybody who's either in Europe or Australia is that the Capcom Home Arcade is coming out tomorrow. And what it is, Tim, is it's a plug-and-play two-player joystick. And you've probably seen it. It's made like the Capcom logo.
Yes.
Apparently, right now, it's only going to be available in Europe and Australia.
Okay.
And the price is €200, which is pretty hefty. I think it's a $300 price tag here or something like that. I don't know what the conversion rate is at the moment, but it's pretty pricey. But it does do it has Wi-Fi. It does online scoring, so it uploads your scores to like a scoreboard and everything. So it does some cool things outside of just playing the games. But that's another thing that's coming out, Tim, that people are looking at. So there's been so many things, just it seems like coming out, arcade related things, and it's just amazing to me how much of this stuff is out there. Before we wrap up here, we got TextJYT. Do you guys think that the 1UP stuff is lowering the price of original arcade games or making them grow in price as people start with 1UPs then want a real arcade later? Great question.
Yeah.
So I think it's tough. I think for most people, the Arcade1Up scratch the itch, if that makes sense.
Right.
I think for most people, having an Arcade1Up is just as good for them as having a real arcade cabinet.
Right, but that's not your normal buyer anyway.
Sure.
So I see it as collectors are still looking for the real original, and everybody knows that's a new game. It's just like saying, okay, there's a new car come out, it's a lot cheaper, but everybody would still rather have the Porsche, the 85 Porsche,
sure.
not the, the
2019 version of the 85.
Right.
Porsche,
yeah,
whatever,
exactly. Yeah. Or even a cheaper model that looks cool, like a Kia or something that
sure.
sporty, but at the same time, you'd much rather have the classic. I think the prices are just staying steady because of the supply.
Right,
it's not
exactly.
going up.
Yeah, I think it has more to do with supply and
In fact, it's
demand.
going down, yeah.
So, like, if we look at, I think a great example of this is the Star Wars Arcade1Up. If we see the Star Wars prices go up from the release of the Arcade1Up, then I think that'll say that it's probably that it does increase the demand. But I have a feeling what's going to happen is that the prices are going to stay the same, like you mentioned, and that's just because the rarity of the Star Wars arcade cabinets. We're probably still going to see them around that $2,000 mark, just because supply and demand. But I don't think Arcade1Up really, for somebody who wants the actual cabinet, they're going to get the actual cabinet. But I think for most people, the Arcade1Up version is good enough. And that's what it comes down to. So I think most of the people who are buying Arcade1Ups are people who probably would never own full-size arcade cabinets. I hope they do. I mean, I hope some of those people transition. But I think there's not going to be a whole lot of people transitioning. It's going to be more about, once I have an Arcade1Up version, that's good enough for me.
Yep.
Kind of thing. So there you go. Jason says, nostalgia will lull some until the 50th anniversary. Everything early 80s is going to be huge in just 10 short years. Yeah, 50 years, right?
Yeah.
So maybe. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. We'll see, Jason. We'll see if your prediction comes true. But anyway. Okay, Tim, you ready to wrap this up?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Okay, so we want to remind everybody that we want your arcade-related videos. If you want some free advertising for your YouTube channel, we're looking for people to submit short videos, 10 minutes or less, about arcade-related topics. Send us a link to your video at questions@arcaderepairtips.com. Our staff will review it. If we like it, we'll use it during one of our live show episodes. Make sure you put in a plug for your channel so people will know where to find you. We look forward to your submissions. TextJYT came back with the euro to US dollar conversion. It's $220 US for 200 euros right now. Okay. So the conversion is actually way more favorable than I thought it was.
Oh yeah,
that's not bad. It's still kind of pricey for what that is. I'm gonna say that it's kind of an expensive piece. Mm-hmm. It's cool looking and everything, but for $220, still kind of expensive.
Yeah, maybe so.
So there you go. So let me continue on here, Tim. Let us go ahead and give the contact information out. We have our general email, questions@arcaderepairtips.com, questions@arcaderepairtips.com. Make sure you put live show in the subject to get it mentioned on the show. And Tim, sometimes we just pick random questions to put on the live show as well. So if we pick your question, we will let you know so you can watch. But if you want to send your questions in, send them there, questions@arcaderepairtips.com. Tim, most of the people who are watching this are on our YouTube page, but if you're not, you can go to youtube.arcaderepairtips.com, and comments from the last live show will be covered on the next episode, Tim. That's usually how we do it. So again, youtube.arcaderepairtips.com. To watch the live show, you can watch it live, you can watch it archived. We have all of the live show episodes there, so if you want to catch up, this is number 33, right, Tim? Isn't that what we said at the beginning? So if you want to catch up on the other 32 episodes that we've had, actually 33, Tim, because we did one twice. But if you want to catch up on those, you can also catch up on them on our YouTube page as well, youtube.arcaderepairtips.com. Tim, we have the podcast, and Tim, we're still copying the live show audio to the podcast feed, so if you are listening to this, thank you for listening. But hopefully Eric and Rusty will be back hosting the podcast soon. And you can contact them at podcast@arcaderepairtips.com. Subscribe on iTunes and Stitcher. iTunes.arcaderepairtips.com to subscribe on iTunes. Stitcher.arcaderepairtips.com to subscribe on Stitcher. And Tim, we are also on Spotify. So if you're a Spotify user, you can also look up our podcast there. Just search for Arcade Repair Tips QA Podcast. You'll find it there. And then, Tim, we have our social media pages. We have our Facebook page at facebook.arcaderepairtips.com. We want to thank Mark and Louie for all of the great content that they post there. It's some great stuff. We hope that you guys enjoy it. Tim, we're always keeping you up to date on the latest arcade news. And so if you want to know what's going on, make sure you sign up at facebook.arcaderepairtips.com. If you're not a Facebook fan, you can always follow us on Twitter at twitter.arcaderepairtips.com or just at Arcade Repair. That is our handle on Twitter. So twitter.arcaderepairtips.com or at Arcade Repair. So there we go. So, Tim, I think that about covers it. Now, if you're listening to this on the podcast feed, we only post the regular live show audio there. We do not post the after show audio. So, right. Tim, for those who may not be joining us for the after show, what do we have coming up for that next?
Well, we're going to be talking about some sports, some TVs and movies and things that we've been watching. And I don't know, what else we got, Jonathan? Just
maybe some Thanksgiving plans?
Yeah, maybe some Thanksgiving.
Fantasy football and how bad you're doing?
Yeah.
So maybe some other things as well. We'll talk about World Series.
Yeah.
Because we haven't really talked about the World Series since then. But we'll talk about a couple other things, just non-related arcade topics. So if you want to stay, if you're listening to this on the podcast feed, you can go to YouTube, check out the after show, just fast forward past the main part of the show and you can get there. Or if you're watching this live or if you're watching this on YouTube, you can just wait about, 5 minutes and we'll come right back with the after show.
Right.
Again, after show, no topics is off limits. So if you have any other questions, arcade related or not, we'll be happy to take them during that time. But let's go ahead and sign off for the regular show. Tim, anything else you want to say before we head out?
Nope. Thanks for watching. I hope everybody's going to have a great Thanksgiving.
Exactly. So we hope you have a great Thanksgiving, guys. We won't talk to you until the first Thursday in December. So happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Tim, short shopping season this year because of a late Thanksgiving, so make sure you're out there shopping the deals. We'll be posting some deals on the Facebook and Twitter feeds, I'm sure, so if you're looking for arcade-related goodies for your family and friends, make sure that you stay tuned there as well. But Tim, we're wrapping up the normal show here, so thank you guys for joining us, and remember here at Arcade Repair Tips, when you fix the game,
you play the game.
Take care, everybody. We'll either see you next week or in the after show. We'll see you later. Bye.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Arcade Repair Tips live show. All of our past episodes are available on our website at arcaderepairtips.com or on our YouTube page. This show is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. Please consult a professional before attempting to repair any coin-operated machines yourself. The preceding program is a Arcade Entertainment production.
Okay, we're back. So, how'd the show go, Tim?
I think so. I think it was pretty good.
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought we had fun. We had a lot of thank yous. So, thanks to Jack64, TextJYT, Justice. We want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Yeah. It was such a great.
It was a good group. At first, it was kind of slow. Like we were wondering, is everybody's forgot about it or whatever? Then all of a sudden, people just started coming in. We're like, wow, the room was really filling up.
It was your Halloween night at Mr. Gaddy's. It was a virtual version of that. Now, my daughter was knocking on the door, so my daughter's actually right here.
We got an in-studio guest.
We have an in-studio guest. So she's just going to sit here. She said she didn't want to be on camera.
Okay, that's fine.
Or talk. You can say something. It's okay. So she may leave here in a minute. So if you see the door right there, if you see it open, it's probably her heading out. Or she may sit in here with us. You going to sit in here with us? Okay. She says yes. So she's going to sit in here with us. Danny chimed in. I do think we didn't peak yet. I agree with Tim that the old guy's buying too much and making your wives mad. So there you go. I got a hug. You're on camera for a second. I saw that. Thank you for the hug.
Oh.
So anyway.
You can interrupt with that anytime.
Exactly. So there you go. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think guys our age are buying a lot of stuff. Your age especially are buying a lot of stuff and making wives mad. Yeah, for sure. Unless you have very understanding wives like me.
Right.
Mommy, yeah. She's very
puts up with
right?
stuff.
Yeah. So there you go. But anyway, guys, so we want to thank everybody for being here tonight. It was great. And now we're going to do an after show, Tim. Okay. And so now, Tim, we always start with an update about how our $10 is doing, your investment. And it has been in, Aurora Cannabis? Is that what it's been in?
Yes, Cron.
Oh, Cron. That's right.
And, it had a high of $23, which we should have sold. It has taken a beating lately. We're down to about $8, and which is really low.
We're below our $10.
Below our $10. So we're just going to have to, we're on the hold for status for a little while. We're going to have to wait probably till their earnings come up. It'll probably come up a little bit more after that. But
now I've got a couple of financial stories to talk about. Now, one I put on here, one I did not.
Okay.
So we use Robinhood. You use and you've used Webull. But did you hear the big news about Robinhood? For Robinhood Gold members, basically it was allowing you to
24-hour trading.
No, not 24-hour trading. If you did if you put $2,000 in, and it was really. And I don't know, I'm not as good. I mean, I know some financial stuff, but basically it was counting some of your options that you were buying as so you buy an option, it would count it as part of your buying power.
Uh-huh.
And so basically by doing that, I mean, people were kind of leveraging because Robinhood Gold lets you use double whatever you put in.
Right.
That's kind of like a loan. So if you put $2,000 in, you get a $4,000 limit. But it was apparently there was something with the options where it was counting the option as income.
All right.
Even though the option had been paid.
Right.
Out.
Or it hadn't expired.
Exactly, and expired. And so people were literally gaming the system and getting tons of money from that. It was like a little loophole that they had there for a while. Did you see these stories?
I didn't see those.
Yeah, you should see them. Look them up.
I took advantage of it.
Yeah, exactly. You have to be Robinhood Gold, and you had to have I think it was $2,000 minimum in your account.
Oh, well, that didn't happen.
Exactly, wouldn't have happened. But yeah, so that was one thing Robinhood got some bad press on. They were about to have an IPO, Tim. So hopefully they can get all this ironed out before they have their IPO. But like we mentioned, guys, you can really trade on pretty much any platform now. Almost everything's gone fee-free.
Everybody is it's just crazy.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're looking to trade stocks, we like Robinhood still. But if you're looking to trade stocks,
Robinhood is super easy for beginners.
Exactly, it's super easy to get started on, and so that's why we like it so much.
And I'm still the only thing I'm really making money off of is buying Bitcoin, buying and turning around and selling. I'm just because it is just going like a roller coaster.
Yeah. So I agree. I've seen it. Now I don't know if you saw WWE stock.
Yes.
Took a pretty big tumble.
It did.
And we have a friend who has a lot of money in WWE stock. I think he's still up on it.
Yeah, I think
so. But
so.
He should have sold when I sold. That's what I was going to say. And Tim, I don't know if it's going to get any better, unfortunately.
Yeah, with the networks, I don't think the ratings have been as high as
Fox has been, I think, very disappointed in the performance of wrestling at this point. And so, obviously, they signed that $1 billion deal that we talked about that made the stock go up so high. But the returns from that $1 billion deal have been pretty poor so far.
The XFL is going to bring it out.
Yeah, and we're going to get there here in a second. Now, I have one more story about Fitbit, Tim.
Yes.
They're getting bought by Google. Now, I've warned... I've been a Fitbit fan. I've got a Fitbit Versa. I think the company is great. So I went from Pebble, and Fitbit bought out Pebble, and now I guess I'm getting Google because they bought out Fitbit.
Right.
But the problem with Google buying companies is it seems like every company they buy It's terrible.
Right.
So, I mean, I hope they don't ruin Fitbit. I will say that. But anyway.
Excuse me.
So, but here's the deal, Tim. I messaged you saying that there was talk about this.
Yes.
When I messaged you, the stock was $4.
Yes.
And then it's now up to $7. So if you would have bought when I told you to, or when I told you that the buyout was happening, you would have almost doubled your money.
Right.
Almost. So there you go. But anyway, so sometimes you got to listen to me. Just saying. Right. So I don't hit all the time. Poor Dave & Buster's. I'm still up on Dave & Buster's, but they've taken a big hit in earnings. I'm hoping they come back. I think the holiday season is good for Dave & Buster's because people like... a lot of Dave & Buster's are in malls. And so when people are shopping, it's a good place to eat with your family. You can promise your family, hey, if you guys are good, we'll go to Dave & Buster's, right?
Maybe
whatever the case may be. So there's a lot to that. But Square's been doing really good for me, Tim. Yes. Love Square. Square's a great company. Their earnings were really good because of their subscription services that Tim subscribes to at Mr. Gaddy's, right?
Square saved us this weekend. WorldPay was having issues. Literally, we had no credit card service.
No way.
For Saturday noon, all day, the rest of the day, Saturday and Sunday. Can you imagine running a business? You know what our solution was?
The Square.
We went and got the Square.
Out of the truck. Because you guys use it on the food truck. Right.
Put it in, and we used the Square.
And it worked great?
And we had to program it, and it took a little bit. Yes, it worked great. Never any issues.
You should just switch over to Square, period.
We really, if I had everything to do over, I would. Square is great.
Do you guys have a contract with WorldPay?
We have a contract with Revention, though.
Right.
Square can't quite do all the things that they can do. And it wasn't their fault.
Right.
But it was bad, and people were really upset because everywhere you go, I don't really keep cash? I don't keep much cash on me. Not enough to go out and eat.
Right.
And so some people are very understanding. Most were not. And that's just the way it is. We've become a society where, we're used to taking a credit card everywhere we go.
Absolutely. So, well, look at that. I like to hear good news about Square because that means more money from my pocket. So there you go. But Square's a great company. And if you're looking for... And here's the deal. Square is great for babysitters even.
Right.
Like, even if you're a babysitter, you can get a Square and get a reader and you're good to go. Pay. Exactly. So, like, even if you're a teenager and you're just getting, like, as long as you have some credit. You have to have some credit.
Right.
Okay? It doesn't have to be a lot of credit, but you have to have some. As long as you have a bank account and some credit, you can get a Square reader. So
that's awesome.
It's really nice, and I just love Square. There are other solutions, Tim, besides Square. PayPal has their own solution and stuff, but Square's been doing it longer than pretty much anybody else, and they're very reliable. And so highly recommended for our credit card processing. Okay, Tim, let's go ahead and move here to Thanksgiving plans. What kind of Thanksgiving plans do you have planned?
Well, one of our things for years and years and years, we've always went to West Texas to see the grandmother and stuff, and it was usually a time I would take some time off. Well, I don't have the luxury of taking that much time off this year.
Sure.
Grandmother's gotten a lot older, so it looks like we're going to be doing just something at home. Maybe just us.
Wow.
And so I'm sure at the last minute everybody will kind of throw some stuff together. So no big plans. I'll probably just be off Thanksgiving Day unless I'm off the day before or something. But
I bet Black Friday's going to be a huge day for y'all.
Black Friday, usually any type, just that much traffic in town, people have to eat. We'll probably have some good days coming up.
Well, and you're in a shopping center where there's a lot of shopping around. And so people will be walking the shopping center shopping, and they'll need to eat.
For sure.
And I think that's where you guys are going to really pick up some good business. So now for me, this is going to be a huge Thanksgiving. I've got family coming in from Canada.
Oh, wow.
And so they've never been to Texas before.
Oh, nice.
Okay, and literally almost my entire family from Canada is coming.
So you got to get the game room ready.
Game room has to be ready. It's not ready. It's very dirty. Tim can attest to this. But we're going to get it there before Thanksgiving comes, hopefully.
How fun. So how many people are staying with you? Do you know yet?
Just one of my cousins and his wife. So those are the only people who are staying with me. But my parents are they've got the Hotel Leung over there.
Okay.
They're going to be keeping 8 families or something.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, they're keeping quite a bit. But, so, I mean, it's going to be a busy Thanksgiving. Now, here's the deal. They're all coming in, the Sunday before Thanksgiving, but they're only staying till, Tuesday, and then they're all caravanning down to Galveston.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Because my dad rented a house down there. A couple of my aunts rented houses down there, and they're gonna have a Thanksgiving down there. I'm not going with them because it's hard.
Fun, though.
It's a long time. It's a long way to go. I've got to work on Wednesday, which would make it hard for me. Basically, I can only spend maybe a couple of days under there. But yeah, and then they're all gonna caravan back, and then they leave the following Monday.
Wow.
So it's gonna be an adventure.
Yeah, it
to say the least. So I've been to Canada a couple of times and had a really good time. My daughter has not been to Canada. We'll go at some point, but they have never been to Texas.
Oh.
So I don't know what the weather's going to do here.
Yeah.
If it's warm, they're going to freak because it's like they don't have anything. I mean, Thanksgiving in Canada is like snow up to your belt and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see what happens. But
of course, they don't celebrate Thanksgiving.
Yeah, well, they have their own Thanksgiving. It's not the same time as our Thanksgiving.
It's not the same as ours.
Which makes flying actually easier for them. Right. See what I'm saying? Because there's not people traveling for holiday.
There you go.
So anyway, so we'll see what happens. But anyway, it's going to be a very eventful Thanksgiving, to say the least. And I've got to get everything cleaned up. So there we go. Now I have Justice here. He says I bought $700 worth of Bitcoin from. Let's see, it says Mt. Gox when it was around $45 per coin. Shortly after that, they filed bankruptcy. I never got my money back. I don't even want to know what it would be worth now.
Oh, my goodness.
It would be worth a tremendous amount.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if it was $45 then, what is it going for now, 1,600 of Bitcoin?
Oh, no.
I haven't checked it recently.
9,000.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, a coin. So, figure that up.
Yeah, you would definitely have some money. So there you go.
That's all right. I could have bought it when it was $10 a share. That's when we were offered $10 a coin was when we were first offered, and I thought,
That's all right.
Sounds like
okay. Come on up. Okay.
So
let's see. Here. No, you don't want to sit up here? Okay, she's changing her mind.
Okay.
You can sit up here if you want to. Anyway, so yeah, it would have been nice to get in early, right?
Yes.
So, but you never know what these things could have been worthless. So, Tex JYT says I should serve my Canadian guest armadillo for Thanksgiving and tell them it's a tradition here in Texas.
There we go.
We could. I think they know Thanksgiving tradition. Some of them have been here before.
Okay.
It's just that this is the first time, like literally all of them are coming.
Ah.
So this has never happened before. So, and like I said, my
that sounds like a makings for a movie or something.
Exactly.
Like the whole family's traveling on one plane. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, you want to come? Okay, yeah, you can come up. Okay, come here. Yeah, let me see. Okay, I don't know how much of you is gonna be on camera. We'll see. I have to scoot over, Mr. Tim. I have to scoot over Mr. Tim here. Okay, are we up? There she is. There we go. Okay. So let us continue on. Okay, this is Olivia. You wave. Can you wave? No? Okay, not going to wave. But, yeah, so our Canadian family, Olivia's never met any of them, so it's going to be very interesting to see what happens.
Oh, good.
But anyway.
They'll be excited to see
Okay, so moving on to more Thanksgiving talk, Tim. NFL, Dallas Cowboys are now 5-3.
Right.
How do you feel about that?
Boys? Well, cautiously optimistic. I'm not going to brag too much. I'm not going to say too much. We'll see. They definitely. I will say I do like our new player we drafted from the Panthers, the Whiskers, or as some people call him Tom because it's Tom and Jerry.
Oh, gotcha.
But anyway, if you did, that was the craziest thing.
Cat,
did you watch it live?
I did not. I watched the second half of the game. I did not.
Well, it was just so funny because you could tell there was a stopping on the field, and we're like, what's going on? Everybody's looking around, and then you see this cat, and I'm thinking, they're not going to try to catch that cat. And then they try to catch him, of course, and then he's just, cat's going. And it was so funny because at the time, the Cowboys were losing 12-3, and just couldn't do anything. Nothing was going right. And the announcers were saying, well, this is going to be more bad luck for Dallas. And me and my sister were watching. We're like, hold on. Maybe it's more bad luck. Maybe it's some bad luck now for the Giants. Right. And right at that moment, the Cowboys, then they scored a touchdown. And within a minute and a half, they were up 13-12. And so it was kind of a crazy. And then they went on to kind of blow out the game.
Yeah, big time.
And so it was kind of funny. I don't know. It's just funny how things like that can just the break in the game. And the funny of it, it was just, and so anyway, Whiskers was our secret option that night. So, but really, overall, the NFL, you can't know there are no guaranteed wins. Ravens beat the Patriots the other day. Well, you really feel like they're going to be the Super Bowl champs?
No.
I mean, see, that's what I'm saying. It's like there's no guarantee. The lowest, Miami could beat San Francisco on any given day.
Sure.
And so it's kind of made it an interesting year, but also when we talk about fantasy football, it's made a challenging fantasy football. Some of my stuff has just been I'm either blowing out or I'm getting blown out. It's just like I'm up and down. I'm like 4 and 5, and I'm normally I've won our division 2 years ago, and I was probably second or third last year, so to be in 5th place is just not my.
So I'm 7-2 in my league, but I have strategically lost those games. You know what I'm saying? Because of bye weeks and not letting people go. So like the 2 weeks that I lost, and one of them I almost won, even with Cup on a bye.
Oh wow!
I almost won. So I mean, I was like 3 points away, but I was close.
Well, he's been playing very good.
Oh yeah. So so I'm doing good. You're 4 and 5. You can still win. I don't know how many people.
Oh no, yeah. I'm in the hunt. In fact, our league is kind of like that. We have somebody that I think is 7-2 is winning. There's a bunch of 5 and 4 teams, and so I'm in the hunt, and I'll probably win this week because I've noticed the poor person I'm playing this week has a ton of people on bye. In fact, I don't think they could win this week because they got so many players on bye.
Right.
And our league is so deep. If you didn't watch how you draft or get the right backups, it can hurt you like that.
There you go. Now, something I forgot to mention during the regular show is that you're wearing a 2018 Houston Arcade Expo shirt.
Yeah, I should show the back of it.
I was about to say, that comes up on the 15th of this month. Yeah. And we totally forgot to say that. We will not be there, but it'll be a good time. If you're in the Houston area, you should definitely check it out. So,
I wish I could go. So, speaking of the...
Talking about football, let's talk about what we're doing for your birthday next year.
Yes, we have already made plans.
We've already made plans because it's kind of a big one.
Yeah.
Kind of a big birthday for Tim.
We are going to see the Dallas Wranglers?
Renegades.
The
Dallas Renegades, the XFL team. We have bought tickets to see to the XFL. So against the Houston Roughnecks,
something like that.
So so we're going to go to an XFL game. I bought the tickets, and this is my birthday gift to Tim. And you got your son's going, and then your friend Mike, who I know Mike fairly well, and then my friend Brandon and me are going, and then we may have one more. We're still trying to determine. Maybe my brother, he might go. We haven't decided yet, but it's gonna be right. Day before your birthday.
The day before my birthday.
Day before your birthday. We're going to be going to the XFL game. So it'll be fun, I think, to check out and see what's going on. But we have tickets.
Yeah.
We literally have tickets.
Good tickets.
So, good tickets.
Seats.
Yeah, that's right. Good tickets. So we'll see what all this is about. Now, I don't know if you've seen all the news about Bob Stoops being connected to all his coaching jobs.
I was going to say, if he's coaching at that time, everybody keeps with him. But I think a lot of it's just they would like for him to. I don't think he really has a desire to go back into the college. If he did, he would stay at Oklahoma.
Exactly.
I think he wants to. If you think about it, the XFL is a part-time coaching gig.
Right, exactly.
You're not really...
It's 3 months.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they're preparing now, but it's not full-time.
It's not a day-to-day operation, I don't think so.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I think this is a good... I mean, if somebody told you, hey, we'll pay you X amount, you work 3 months out of the year...
Yeah,
you know
I think it's some spare
part-time
change
the rest
for
of the
him.
time. Yeah, I think it works out well for him. So anyway, Danny says my Colts aren't doing too bad this year.
No, but their defense is awesome, and especially after losing Andrew Luck, I would have thought the Colts would. They really haven't given up. They've been a good team. They're a solid team.
They were good. Their defense was good even without him. Well,
right.
Obviously, he's an offensive player, but I mean, their defense was good last year.
Yeah.
They beat us.
Right.
I mean, but I mean, their offense is not as bad. They still have everybody else. You know what I'm saying? And so Andrew Luck was a great player, but he had good players around him too. I don't think people realize that they were better than what they came off being.
Well, Cowboys player won Defensive Player of the Week. When's the last time that happened?
Yeah, that's been a while. So now somebody said earlier that why do the Giants? Joe says, why did the Giants stink so bad this season?
Well, you know what? After watching the Giants, there is several reasons, and it's mostly the defense. I really like their quarterback. I thought he did not lose that game for them, even though he threw a late interception.
And the fumble, right?
And a fumble. But I'm telling you, that guy's a rookie, I'm like, they got a lot of potential in him. He's a good young quarterback. So even though it's kind of rebuilding year, if I was a Giants fan, I'd be pretty excited what I saw.
Right.
They didn't really. Yes, they got outplayed. They didn't necessarily get out coached, or they got a lot of good things going for them. I think the Giants are not as bad as their record. You have that one team, and they may turn it around and have a decent year, but it definitely is a rebuilding year for them. If they could get a couple of draft picks, if you could get some more receivers, I think that he's a dude. I liked him. I was like, man, this guy's kind of scary down the road if you think he handles himself that way and calm under pressure as he did the other day. I thought he played great.
Yeah, I thought so too. You having fun? Yeah. Showing off on the camera? I see you over there. Yeah.
And now you're going to act shy.
Exactly. Drew says, can you guys talk about the history of the Pot of Luck coin pusher purple units? Just curious. Do you know much about the Pot of Luck? It seems like I've seen them quite a bit. I don't know too much about them, but I do know the coin pusher units he's talking about.
Yeah, just like at the gas station and stuff.
Well, it's Pot of Luck coin pusher. It says purple units.
I don't know what it is.
So it seems like I've seen coin pushers that have the big pot of luck at the top with the lights and everything like that. I mean, I've seen those, but I don't know much about them. We don't have a lot of experience with coin pushers, and coin pushers, there's not a whole lot to them.
I mean, a lot of redemption games.
Oh, that's true.
Have them at Chuck E. Cheese and stuff, like Price is Right and Pharaoh's Treasure.
The DC superhero one too, right?
Yeah, we have that. I have that one at Gaddy's right now.
Right.
But I can remember the ones at the gas station where they put the little $5 bill or the $20 bill, and you're trying to get it to push off.
Sure.
I remember we played a lot of those at Dave & Buster's when they first came out, so they are addicting. But our DC Heroes is by far our highest paid game.
And the thing is that's a different style of game because you're earning cards, right?
Right. You want the cards to fall, then you turn the cards in for tickets, or you save them, get a whole set, and you can get a lot of tickets.
There you go. So unfortunately, we don't know too much about the Pot of Gold specifically, but I mean, coin pushers have been around for a long time, obviously, Tim. I mean, they're one of the older type redemption style games.
Unique, a different concept, but real simple. There's not much to them.
Right.
Just have a motor that goes around an arm that every time it goes around pushes that thing, and just the same push every time. Doesn't really push any difference. It's same push, just eventually slides those coins off, which makes it fun to play.
There you go.
And there is some skill involved.
Exactly. So there you go. Let's see what else we have here. World Series. Did you watch any of it?
Here's the funny thing. I don't know why. We're not big Houston fans.
They're in our division. They're in the Texas Rangers division.
Although I would root for them over most other ball clubs just because they're from Texas. I don't dislike Houston, but I didn't like the Washington, although they had a great story, all the comeback and stuff. Here's the deal. I watched one game, the last game 7, and because it was a game 7, and it was fun to watch, and I didn't really care who won, but it part of me caught myself rooting for Washington, just because they hadn't won. It was it was kind of cool that they won their. Well, it really wasn't Washington's first World Series, wasn't like 80 years or something, but
they haven't won one. They had been in the World Series, but they had never won one, even as the Capitals.
And the fact that they're just everything, they were just kind of the Cinderella story of the year. I kind of caught myself rooting for them.
Now, did you hear about all the stuff with the Astros front office and the guy saying the stuff about?
There was a lot of distractions
Azuna
on the set
and all that kind of stuff. It kind of made the Astros look like an organization that doesn't care about anything but winning, and they ended up firing the assistant GM.
Yes.
Well, now we've also found out that they have let Reed Ryan, Nolan Ryan's son, go, and that they're moving the owner's son in that position that he was in, and so they're also letting Nolan Ryan go.
Wow.
So, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
Because it seems like Reed Ryan kind of got them where they're at, and now they're going to put the owner's son in that same place.
Yeah.
I mean, it just seems like some of the stuff that's going on with the Astros right now seems just really fishy.
Right. But having said that, I really like some of their players.
Right.
They've got some really good players, but you got to wonder how many of those people are going to be back next year, and is Cole going to be there? I mean, it's going to be, it's not going to be the same team, but they do seem to be they're just in it every year. They're a good team.
Well,
so.
I mean, their front office, they're analytics-wise, they're probably the most advanced team of all the teams. They've literally let go of most of their traditional scouts. Like, they do almost everything based on analytics. And it's worked so far. But, with all the changes they've made and all the people they've changed out, I don't know if it's going to continue to work or not. That's the question. Now, here's the deal. The young players they have are locked up for a long time. And so, they're going to be good for a while.
Right.
But the question is that once all those young players end up going free agent, are they still going to be good? Are they still going to be able to draft players like they've been drafting? I don't know. And here's the deal. When you're good, you don't get the top draft picks anymore. You know what I'm saying? And so they're not getting the top draft picks like they were getting when they were terrible. So, but I think it's shown, look, I have a lot of Houston Astros fans, know a lot of them, but the organization itself may not be the best organization.
Maybe.
Taking off your shoes? Yes. Looking at them. No, okay, just looking at them. Well, you can. Get comfortable. So, let us continue on here. Any good movies? We're going to get to that here in a second. Okay. Text JYT. Danny says, how do you feel about some people taking Arcade1Up games and putting them in full-size cabinets? Hey, do what you want to do.
Right.
Text JYT has a free centipede cabinet. Just do that to that one.
Somebody could put that in there.
Exactly. So,
that's just a way of getting them working.
Drew says, do you have any neat stories of any claw machine company, manufacturers, iSmart, Rainbow, etc.? Any interesting stories? Tim would probably have more than those than I would, just because he's worked with a lot of them.
Smart is always... I like Smart because I can call them about a 20-year-old crane, and they'll actually take that call and try to help me.
Sure.
So I like Smart. Just all throughout the years, they just don't change much. And the newer cranes, though, man, are really... We still get a lot of crane machine play and very little maintenance on them like it used to be. The cords were always coming unwound and things like that. You don't see that as much with the new one. So I don't know how interesting the stories are, just the fact that, I always thought cranes were pure luck, and it's neat watching somebody who's really good at it.
Sure.
And I have some people that are just really good at it, and I like to watch people play. My daughter's super good at it. Mm-hmm. No matter where we go, you can sit there and see a crane machine. You give her $5, she's walking away with something. And so it's kind of, she comes up where I work. She's like, let me play the crane. I'm like, okay. And I like to watch her play. But
now, the cranes you have, who's the manufacturer on those?
We have, let's see. Oh, it's a company I'm not real familiar with because we didn't use them at Chuck E. Cheese.
Not Sugarloaf? Or...
No. One is they come from Betson, so I'm not even sure who makes the Playtime ones. The Big Giant crane is the one I'm trying to remember. That, we have a crane that's about as big as this room.
Yes.
And it's called the Big One. And somebody probably knows and could tell me just like that.
I was going to say Dave & Buster's, it's the same crane.
Same crane. So we do have a Smart crane for sure. And but candy cranes to me were always fun.
Oh yeah,
because you always got something every time. Just kept playing.
Mm-hmm. So okay, we're getting into shows. So we're gonna let's get through these the last couple. Anything to say about NHL or NBA or anything? You keeping up with any of that? Mavs are off to a pretty hot start.
Yeah, I'm excited to. We need to go to a Mavs game.
Porzingis, man, and Luka. That's what I'm talking about.
They're definitely playing good. So we're Mavs fans. It's all interesting, kind of what I thought teams would be about this time of the year, but I do think the Mavs are better than I thought they would be.
Absolutely.
Especially without Dirk.
Now, the Stars got off to a really rough start. I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't.
But they have been winning. They're on a winning streak now. They've won almost pretty much every game. So, if you imagine the St. Louis Blues last year, we are on course to do what they did. So maybe we can win it all. You never know. So, a couple of cord-cutting things. Tim, I talked about this, but I used to use PlayStation View.
Yes.
Which was Sony's live TV service.
They're doing away with it. Yeah.
It is shutting
I know
down.
Some people are really upset about that.
So, if you use PlayStation View, it's shutting down. So you may have to go to YouTube, which YouTube TV is the best by far.
Okay.
You use that one, you'll never go back to anything else. But I talked about last month, Tim, I'm back to cable now. So because they offered me a heck of a deal to come back. So I'm back on cable now. So I don't have any of the cord cutting services like I used to have, but we still do that. I do have AT&T Watch TV because I'm on the unlimited plan.
Right.
So, but they're saying they may shut down next.
Oh.
So, and I do watch AT&T Watch TV sometimes. It's got some good. It's got good channel selection. What are you doing? You singing? Okay.
Olivia, you need to learn to read so you can read that to us over there. Somebody's saying something.
Okay, and so, I think we're done with the cord cutting talk. I'm going to go to Drew real quick. Is it true that some of the manufacturers make them in their garages? 2-car garages? No, most manufacturers are going to make their cranes in manufacturing environments.
Yeah.
Now, especially with China now, I mean, even a U.S. company may get their stuff manufactured in China. All the design and stuff may happen here, but they're still going to get it manufactured somewhere. So, let's see. I've missed most of the show, but we'll catch the replay. YouTube Punk says, Jonathan has gone full circle. There you go. I cut the cord.
Yeah.
Or I was on the cord. I cut the cord. I'm back on the cord.
Plug the cord back in.
Exactly.
Repaired the cord.
It's called Money Talks.
Fix the cord.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Cut the cord. Fix the cord. That's what I've done. So, so it is what it is. But I have gone full circle. So let's talk about TV shows. Text JYT says, I saw the Tall Grass on Netflix, and it wasn't too bad.
The Tall Grass. I
have not seen this either, so we're going to have to check that one out. Yeah, absolutely. So I want to check that one out. Tim, go ahead and go first. So you've been watching some Netflix stuff, right?
Yeah, I'll start with the movie that I saw. I did go see The Joker. Have you seen it?
I have not, but I heard good things.
Yeah,
especially about, apparently people are saying it's a lot about mental health.
It really is. It kind of makes you feel sorry for him more than anything. It's a pretty tough movie to watch, though. I mean, it's not. I mean, it makes you kind of how you see how basically somebody was picked on, some of those things, and it's a
how
very
they just snap basically.
Yeah, it snaps, and but it's a little disturbing too. So at the same time, you're like, gosh, it's really hard to watch.
Now, obviously, but
it's worth watching.
Right, it's
hard to watch, but worth watching.
I was about to say it's hard for me to go to the movie theater with this one right here.
Right,
unless we're gonna go see Frozen 2, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, heck yeah.
Exactly. So if we're going to go see that, then we're all in.
A couple of shows that I really, I'll talk about last. I'm almost waiting. I can't wait to go home and watch it tonight. But the one is the show The Sinner. Have you seen The Sinner?
I have not seen The Sinner.
I didn't see the first season, and my wife did. And she was like, that was pretty good. Season 2, episode 2 just came out. And she said, will you watch it with me? And so I went, yeah, I'll watch it. And it's about a boy. And it basically, both shows, the first season is about a lady who goes to the beach and kills this guy for no reason. And so you have to, why did she do this? Why did this mom, who's played by Jessica Biel, and she goes berserk.
Okay. You mentioned Jessica Biel. I think I've heard of this now.
Okay. Now, this second season's about a little boy who kills 2 people. And it's like, why would this kid do this? And then that's what you find out. You find out what led to that point. It's very good. And it's not super graphic or anything like that. It's not that kind of show. It's more like okay, now why did this happen? And there are a lot of little twists and turns. It has Bill Pullman is the...
Wow, Bill Pullman.
Bill Pullman is in this one.
As in President of Independence Day.
Yeah, right.
In Independence Day.
And
Bill
so...
Pullman. That's like how I always think of him.
So I definitely, if you haven't seen that and you like those kind of shows, check it out. The one I'm really liking is called The Devil Next Door. It's a true documentary.
It literally said, recommended it to me. It's like, you should watch this.
Yeah.
So
And you should. Because you like documentaries, I know, like I do. And you'll like, it's a story of a guy who was living in, I think it was around Cleveland or somewhere like that. And he worked for Ford Motor Company for like 30 years and had grandkids and was really involved in his church. He gets arrested for being the worst Nazi criminal ever, worse than Hitler. Okay, and
is this based on like the?
It's based on what happened?
Or like, why is he the worst? That's what I mean. So.
Oh, the worst. I mean, I can't say.
Concentration camps.
Yeah, he ran a concentration camp.
Okay.
And the stuff that he was just mean. Okay, he was called Ivan the Terrible. Okay. So this super nice guy, who and so the whole gist of the story is he really that guy? This guy next door that has the beautiful gardens and did he do these horrible things? Or is it a true case of mistaken identity? he was from the Ukraine, and I'll tell you a little bit. I mean, without giving away anything, I'm not going to give away anything. Is that they believe that his defense is that...
Hang on a second. What's the name of the documentary? The Devil Next Door.
The Devil Next Door.
The Devil Next Door.
And what it is he is... they said that the Russians are the ones who turned him in. Well, he left Russia and defected. This is all in 1980s, by the way. Cold War time.
30 years.
So they're saying, oh, that guy that you let in your country, he was a Nazi war criminal. Okay? So it kind of sounds hokey. The Russians produced this fake document. Well, here is why they think it was him. They were actually trying to catch another guy who confessed and said, yes, I was a guard. And so you know how you pick out a lineup?
Yes.
You take 4 random guys off the street. Hey, would you come in here a minute? Knowing that hopefully none of them 4 are going to get picked, right? They're going to pick the guilty guy.
Exactly.
Well, they had a picture of a guilty guy, and they're randomly throwing in, here, throw this guy's picture in there. And everybody, instead of picking the guilty guy, went, oh, that's Ivan the Terrible. Picking to him. He was supposed to be just a random photograph. So, like, after 12 or 13 people in a row identified him, I think, my personal opinion, I think he looks like the guy.
Right.
And I think that they want so bad
for him to be the guy. And then the whole courtroom was the first courtroom. It was shot all on camera, all live. And you can tell, and then there's so much, not hatred, but just, we must do this right. This guy tortured people. Like, that part's hard to watch. I can tell you, it told me stuff I didn't even realize happened. I mean, you hear, they sent on the gas chambers. That was nothing. That was an easy death. Mm-hmm. It was the torturing and the worst, just awful. And if he is that guy, I'm on the same bandwagon. Whether it's 40 years ago or 10 years ago or 10 days ago, he needs to pay for that. Exactly. But
at the same time, then you'll hear some compelling testimony.
Both sides.
But then you also realize how they can get caught up in the hype of we've got to prosecute. Because it starts off they can't find a lawyer anywhere in the whole country of Israel to defend him.
Wow.
And one guy looks at it and goes, well, he didn't do this. This is dumb. I'll defend him. The whole country hated that dude. They won't.
Oh, sure.
Like, kids couldn't go to school. Like, because you...
I think we all know,
How
right?
could you defend this guy? And he's like, because he didn't do it.
Exactly.
You guys are all hyping up. Watch that show. That is The Devil Next Door. And like I said, I'm right at a turning point. And I'll tell you this much. I think there's like 6, 7, or 8 episodes. About every episode, I go from, yes, he definitely did it, to, no, there's no way that guy could have done it, to, now I don't know.
I'm confused.
And the last episode really threw a kink in the chain. So
I'm laughing at what Mr.
If you like that, that's funny. What about you, John? You've been watching...
Well, before we get to me, we have a couple here. YouTube Punk says he's been watching The Watchmen on HBO. Have you seen this one?
Yes.
Have you seen it at all?
I have seen some of it.
Okay, is it good?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm a Watchmen fan.
Yes.
But like the movie didn't really do it for me. So
but the show is better.
The show is better? Okay. So YouTube Punk says it has potential, but it's slow.
Right.
Okay, that's what
I'm kind of in the same boat.
Okay,
it's
so slow.
I haven't seen, but...
Text JYT said, In the Tall Grass was written by Stephen King and his son Joe Hill.
I did think I saw a little bit of that.
Okay. Yeah, I have not seen, I don't think I've heard of that. So I don't know.
Okay.
So what I've been watching. So I watched something on Netflix too that y'all should watch. It's a movie. It's based on a book. It's called Tell Me Who I Am.
Okay.
It is a story. And I mean, here's the thing. The story's been widely publicized. And I'm going to tell you the story. It's not spoiling anything because it's the confrontation that makes everything. So it's about these twin brothers that lived in England. Okay. And one of them has a bad motorcycle wreck and can't remember his childhood at all. Can't remember anything.
Wow.
Okay. And so the story is really about how his twin brother basically fills him in on his life. Tell me who I am. Okay. Mm-hmm. So like he does. Okay. But later when they get older, he realizes that his brother had been lying to him about their parents.
Okay.
And it turned out that they were abused by not just their parents, but that their parents sold them out to people to be abused.
Wow. So his brother was trying to protect him, probably.
So really, the story is about the confrontation between the two brothers, and like, why didn't you tell me this? And so like the end of it is literally like the first time they've ever gotten together and talked about it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and so that's what you need to see.
Is it a true story?
True story.
Okay, so that
and it's only 2 hours. Okay, and it's based on a book, but basically his brother sugarcoated that part of his life and didn't want him to have bad things, and so it begs the question: would you have done that?
Right.
Would you have been honest with your twin brother? Yeah, that would
be hard.
Exactly. Or would you have done what this guy did?
Yeah.
And it's like his argument is that I had all these bad experiences.
Didn't want him to
suffer the same thing.
Yeah.
But then when they got older, of course, and his brother found out about all this,
then it made him. Why'd you lie to him?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And so, but the confrontation where the brother tells him everything and they talk about it, that's the part you have to see. Like, the story itself is good, but it all builds to that confrontation where they talk to each other about it.
Gotcha. So, sounds interesting. I would like that.
It's only 2 hours long. It's not.
It's like watching a movie.
Exactly. It is a movie.
Okay.
And it's a documentary, but it's just a movie, and it's just. And like I said, I'm kind of sugarcoating it for reasons, but you should see the whole thing, and it's very fascinating. Tell Me Who I Am. There's a book about it.
Okay.
But in the book, the two brothers never got together and actually talked about it. They just left it at like what he had left out of his brother's childhood and stuff. And so the Netflix documentary basically picks up where the book left off. It gives you the backstory, it gives you kind of the summarization of the book, and then the actual confrontation between the two brothers.
Interesting.
Yes. So the other thing I watched on Netflix was Unnatural Selection. Now, it's very long, but if you do not know anything about CRISPR, you should watch this documentary.
CRISPR.
So CRISPR is a protein that they can use to insert DNA strands into your DNA, to basically cut and paste DNA into certain places in your DNA.
Okay.
Like, so they can cut and paste a snippet of good DNA in a place where you may have a snippet of bad DNA.
Okay.
Okay. And if you're not familiar with this, you should watch it. Okay. But again, it leads you to all sorts of ethical things, like, should we be doing this? Is this? But here's the deal. After watching the documentary, like, when I've studied CRISPR a lot, if you watch the documentary and you don't know anything about it, it's going to creep you out to no end. Okay. Because there's so much that we can do with this. But after watching the documentary, I've come to the conclusion that we should do some of this. And you may too. Okay. Before, I was totally against all of it. But here's the thing you guys have to remember: we have bacteria, we have bacteria and viruses that are resistant to drugs. We have genetic deformities that people are born with that we can't fix now. CRISPR may be able to help with that stuff. Okay. Like, we may not be able to make drugs that harm these bacteria anymore, but we may be able to fix our DNA to where we are resistant to the bacteria.
Then you have people that won't have kids because they don't want to pass on something.
Right, and so
it could allow them to have a family or something.
Or people who are born with, like, there's one person in there that's born with sight issues, like, to where the boy is losing his sight rapidly because of a genetic disorder, and they have a treatment for that based on CRISPR that may allow him to see again.
Wow.
Okay, and so before, I kind of looked at it like we're kind of playing God a little bit, but after the documentary is long, it's like 8 episodes, and they're all 2 hours, so it's like 16 hours worth of time.
But you could also say this is kind of like God giving us a knowledge that only He has, or something. That
like this is like the next form of drug. Like, we have drugs already that do things. This is like the next field of that kind of stuff.
That's crazy.
And so once you watch it, it informs you a lot. If you don't know anything about CRISPR, it's gonna, like I said, freak you out to no end, because you may not realize that some of this stuff is possible. I knew this, but they're already using CRISPR.
Hopefully, yeah,
even my wife,
kind of stuff they could cause.
Even my wife. And here's the deal: your DNA code is just, I'm a computer programmer. It is your code.
Right.
It is what defines you as a person. It's literally your code. And so if you can cut bad pieces out and put good pieces in, you may be able to be a better version of yourself. You may be healthier. You may be, you know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of things that can change that. And so Unnatural Selection is super fascinating.
Interesting.
It's scientific.
And it's a show.
It's a documentary series.
So it's a series.
Series.
Watch it for a little while. It's going to take a while to get through it all.
Exactly. And it is, it's kind of slow moving, but there's a lot of technical stuff that you kind of have to understand to even understand how it works, okay? But it is a protein that can carry a strand of DNA and basically clip a certain section of your DNA and insert that strand in there. Okay, so they can already make, like, dogs that glow in the dark because of this kind of stuff. I mean, they're already doing it with with research and stuff. You may not realize this. Okay, if you don't know much about CRISPR, you may not know that they can do this. I didn't know what
CRISPR was.
There's a guy who sells a at-home kit to mess with DNA. Literally, you can order on the internet. Okay, wow. And he's in the documentary. And I knew about this. Okay, because I've read up. Wired has a lot of articles on it. I subscribe to Wired. The Odin is the guy's name. You can order your at-home CRISPR kit.
Wow.
The guy is he's got a doctorate. He's a biologist that has a doctorate in biology and made at-home kits for people.
Can you fix my back and make me less tired?
Maybe. But if you don't know much about CRISPR, I highly recommend it. It will inform you so much.
Interesting.
And then, guys, I've been watching Mr. Robot, and the last season of Mr. Robot is really good.
Okay.
Season 2 and 3 were not very good.
Right.
Season 1 was great, but season 4, they've gone back. It's very good. I'm
good
enjoying
again.
it immensely.
Okay.
And I've been watching all the superhero shows and everything like that. Let's see what else we got here. Let's
got a donation.
See. Did the brother remember, or was he just told in Tell Me Who I Am? He was just told. He did not remember anything. He literally had a motorcycle accident where his helmet, I think it came off, and his head made surface with the road and skidded across the road. So they had to. He was lucky he survived the motorcycle accident, but he did not remember anything. And still
did he
does
even
not
know
remember.
that guy was his brother? Like, I mean, could he remember some
That
stuff?
was the only thing he could remember.
Wow.
He didn't even remember his mother.
Wow.
But he could remember his twin brother and his name. And so, that's why he trusted his twin brother for everything. Because his twin brother was the only person he knew.
What a dilemma, though. I could feel for the brother, too. I could understand.
So, they would go places, to see his old friends. And before they go through the door, his brother would give him the whole rundown of everybody. Like,
wow.
This is your girlfriend. He did not know his girlfriend, okay?
Wow.
Like, this is your girlfriend. This is your best friend. This guy, we got to school with. This guy we've done stuff with. And so, before they would go into places, he would give them this whole rundown.
I'm going to watch that.
You should watch it. It's only 2 hours. It's worth every penny. Every moment. Let's see. I'm watching that one. Everybody says you should watch that one. I've always wondered if the bad stuff in someone's life was erased, if they'd be a different person. So what's interesting is that the brother that this happened to is nicer than the brother that remembers the bad stuff. You can tell. He's the nicer of the two brothers.
Because he doesn't have this bad memories.
Maybe not.
And stuff sure changes.
Exactly. And they talk about that in the documentary, how he's the nice one out of the two, and it's very interesting. So Justice gave us $10 and he says, thanks guys, you're awesome, gotta go. Awesome. Thank you so much, Justice, for the $10. If you're watching this after the fact. Exactly, we're about to go too. Let's see. Mr. Robot. Need to catch up on that. Amazon Prime has all the episodes of Mr. Robot except the new ones, so you can catch up on seasons 1 through 3 on Amazon Prime. Watch all of them.
I'll do that.
Speaking of Amazon Prime, they just wrapped up on The Boys season 2, and mid-2020 we are going to see The Boys season 2. Did you watch The Boys?
I have not watched it yet. That's on my list.
Jack Ryan is on my list to watch. Season 2. I have not watched it yet. Apparently it's short. It's like six hours.
Are you kidding? I haven't even finished the middle. I'm still on season 9. It's like the longest show.
We picked up the middle. I told you. Now, we kind of stopped watching it a little bit, but we did.
It is so funny, though, because there's stuff. Do you know about the hole in the wall yet?
No.
Okay. Well,
there is stuff.
I'll just tell you. There ends up being a hole in the wall. It goes back, and season 9 goes back to season 1 on stuff that happened. Or the snow globe. You don't know this stuff. So it's it's so funny how, because I've seen some of it. Now I'm going back and rewatching stuff because I'm catching stuff. It's really neat how they're like
they're referring back.
Or they talk about Thanksgiving. Remember that Thanksgiving? I'm like, yes, I remember that episode. That was funny. And they always kind of shoot the same way.
Okay. Do you want to tell everybody what you're watching? What are you watching? No. Okay. You can go. You can go get some drink. We're about to wrap it up. So, okay, we lost our live studio audience. But I think we're done here.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you're looking forward to? I was trying to think. It seems like November there's some other stuff coming out, but I can't
There's
remember.
a movie coming out. What is there?
The new Mr. Rogers movie I'm really excited about. May go to the theater to see that one. And we're going to go see Frozen 2 probably. I need to screen it first. We need to make sure it's okay.
I need to buy some Frozen stuff for the wall. I think I got some bracelets and stuff coming. So
yeah. So Frozen 2 is going to be coming out, and so we're excited about that. She's now seen Wreck-It Ralph. I don't know if I'm talking about that. So she's seen Wreck-It Ralph and Ralph Breaks the Internet. She's seen both of them. And that's like one of your favorite movies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she really likes it.
Cool.
Ralph Breaks the Internet especially, right?
I love Beauty and the Beast.
And she likes Beauty and the Beast too.
Okay.
Beauty and the Beast. And she was Belle for Halloween.
So
she had a Belle costume.
What was your brother?
He was Chip. Well, we had a Chip costume for him, you know, from Beauty and the Beast, but he also was Thomas the Train, right?
Yeah,
So he loves Thomas. So
Daddy.
what?
I remember somebody else liked Thomas when they were little.
Yeah, this one still likes Thomas.
Dad likes the new engineer.
Yeah, she likes the new engineer. So we're still watching Thomas all this time. Anyway, let's see what else we got before we go. I want to see Midway. Looks awesome. And Ferrari versus Ford. I do like both those. Those are very good. Okay, well, I think we're going to wrap it up. YouTube Punk says, Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Now, I was going to see, Tim, I always like to check right before we go to see when are we going to have another live show. And I think it's a 4-weeker now. So it's going to be December 5th.
December 5th.
December the 5th, we will have another live show. So that's 4 short weeks away. And we'll see how everybody's Thanksgiving was. We'll have lots of Thanksgiving deals. Maybe I'll have Tim's Christmas presents by then.
Mm-hmm. That's early, man.
I tried to.
I know you're always early, though. You're a good shopper.
Yeah, it depends. I've already got you some stuff. Is there anything that you
kill me.
Do you want something in particular?
I don't know.
Should I go shopping for you?
No, nothing.
I got you like the standard fare, but if you want something, you know.
I showed my wife the Pac Man watch, but I can't wear a watch. You know, I can't. And it's kind of can't wear a watch.
I think
it's $80.
$80. Oh,
that's not too bad for a watch.
Here. Let's see. Here we go. Since we talked about it earlier. Congratulations, Tim.
What is this?
New laptop.
Oh, yeah.
So, thank you, people of Arcade Repair Tips, for buying Tim a new laptop.
Yes, thank you.
There you go. So, that's where your funds go. But anyway, so remember that you need to give me your old one.
I do.
So, I need the Chromebook. So, set that one up, get all your stuff moved over, and then bring the other one over whenever you
Okay.
So, there you go. Anyway, guys, well, have a great night. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you on December 5th. You going to wave at everybody?
Hey, bye.
Thanks for being here. So, and we appreciate all your support. We appreciate everybody who donated tonight, everybody who joined us. We love you guys. And we hope to see you in December for the next live show. Take care, everybody. Good night. Happy Thanksgiving.
Good night.
Night. Oh, my mouse is upside down. It's going really hard to turn it off. There we go. Here we go.
We're out.
We're out.